You are watching the Steelers Talk live show presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. The preseason is nearly coming to a close, guys. Roster cutdown day is less than a week away, which of course means the start of the 2026 NFL season for your Pittsburgh Steelers is coming up very, very soon. Welcome into the show, guys. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about on today's program. First up, the latest Steelers news and rumors. I'm going to tell you why I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers should start rookie quarterback Drew Aller out of Penn State this week versus the Buffalo Bills in the preseason finale in Buffalo over Will Howard. Then I will go into why I believe 2026 is a transition year for the Pittsburgh Steelers and why that's actually a good thing and that's okay heading into this season. Then we'll get into my preview for preseason week 3. I've got 12 Steelers players that have to have strong performances in the preseason finale versus the Bills. And then the moment you guys have been waiting for, our Madden simulated season will come to a close one way or another today with our Super Bowl Madden simulation. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be taking on the Los Angeles Rams to finish our annual Madden simulated season here on Steelers Talk. So I want to see who are the real ones down there in the comment section. If you are here at the top of today's show, spam those me's down there in the comment section. Would greatly appreciate you guys. We're going to give shout outs here to everybody that clicks that thumbs up icon and spams those me's. I see a lot of the regulars are already here. Let me pull up my list right here. Got 150 people already watching live around the world. We got The Only Key. We got Mickelson. We got Gray Marrow. We've got Tegan. We've got my lovely wife, Cassie Sperry. Everyone say hi to Cassie for me. Gray Marrow. We've got Tegan, Robert Kirkpatrick. I saw Czar Craig is here. We got Christopher Domingo. We got Doug. We've got Robert Kirkpatrick, Craig, Christopher Domingo, Steve, Brian, Mr. Dabs. We've got Andrew. We've got Ken, PY guy. Got Mr. Dabs. Got Kermit is my God here, as always. Christopher Domingo. Ken, Andrew. Fluffy is here. Good to see you, Fluffy. Got Andrew Arnold in the chat. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you, my friend. Got Hajile. Got a good crew of Steelers fans ready to talk some ball here with us here today. And of course, as always, if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you have any sort of super chat idea that you want to get up on screen next to me and Ponzi here, make sure you guys send in a super chat of any dollar amount and we will answer any and all Steelers questions that you guys have. Right now, there's a lot of stuff going on. The Joey Porter Jr. extension talks are really heating up, and this is really getting into a crazy situation. The backup quarterback situation. How many quarterbacks are they going to keep? Which ones should they keep, etc. They got a lot of stuff to discuss, so if you have any topics that you want me and Ponzi to address, feel free to send in a super chat of any dollar amount. We'll make sure to get to it by the end of the show. Also, if you want to skip the line and you guys want more of your donation dollars to actually go back to us here at Steelers Talk as opposed to big conglomerates like Google and Apple, you guys can send in your Venmo and PayPal donations as well at Jack-Sperry on Venmo or at Captain Jackrabbit on PayPal. Google takes a 30% cut of every single super chat you guys send in, guys, on YouTube, and then Apple takes another 10% if you're sending in that super chat on an Apple product. So if you want more of your donation dollars to go back to this channel, we'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, you guys will have your questions answered first if you guys donate via Venmo or PayPal today. This will be our donation menu here today, guys. Any donation you get on screen, $10. We'll do, here we go, Steelers wave the terrible towels around a little bit. $20, we'll spin the wheel. $50, we'll bang, and we got tortilla slaps. And then $100, we've got, we'll bang the gong. Got the Hall of Fame gong right here. We'll bang this nice piece of metal here for you if you put $100 in. And then we have the wheel that Ponzi's showing right now. We've got F the Browns, Ravens, and Bengals on there. We've got Sperry lemon shots, Ponzi lemon shots on there, tortilla slaps. We've got the Jennings Dunker wig on there. So if you guys want to help out the channel, we would greatly appreciate your guys' support. See, some super chats are already filing in. We'll get to those in just 1 second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor, as always, which is PrizePicks. And I want to tell you about an awesome promotion on the PrizePicks app every single Tuesday that you guys should be taking advantage of, which is Taco Tuesdays. On Taco Tuesdays, throughout the day, PrizePicks releases multiple discounted player projections called tacos that are marked with a taco icon. Just put them in your normal daily fantasy lineups on PrizePicks and watch your sports for that night to see if your lineup wins. You guys can take a look here at our Taco Tuesday lineup. For today, we are taking the more on Paul Skeens' taco, which is strikeouts for tonight's game against the Padres. We're also taking the more on Wilson Contreras and the more on Ty France as well. So best of all, PrizePicks just switched their offer. All you have to do is play your first $5 lineup with code HMA, and if you win that lineup, you get $150 in additional lineups. Because of this new offer, there's not a better time to join than right now, right before the start of football season. So lock in and win that first lineup today. One more time, that's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. So get in on the Taco Tuesday action right now by clicking the link in the comments and description to download the app today. As always, play responsibly, and a big thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring Steelers Talk Live. All right, let's get to some super chats. Ponzi, great to see your face here today, my friend. You got a new desk in the studio. It's a shorter desk, but I think it works better for you. Can you guys hear Ponzi?
I can't hear myself. There we go.
All right, there he is.
Yeah. You got the new desk, looking a little more sleek here. A little different on the webcam design, but still here, still functioning.
Still being Ponzi.
It's still being Ponzi.
Still
I'm
Ponzi.
excited, man.
Excited
Got
for
Madden
what?
stream.
Yes,
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl Madden stream. It's the first time that the Steelers have made the Super Bowl in a Madden simulated season. So, and by the way, Madden's been surprisingly accurate with what we've had the Madden simulations be throughout the years. Last 2 years that we've done it, they've lost in the first round of the playoffs, and that, of course, came true. Last year was scary accurate because they had us play the Texans at home, and we lost in the playoffs. So hopefully this year it comes true. Hopefully the Steelers have a playoff run in them and maybe a Super Bowl run in them. We'll see how the Madden simulated season finishes up here later today. But Bernard coming in with a $2 super chat says, do you think A-Rod, DK, and Pittman play on Thursday? Maybe a drive. We'll see. I don't think they need to. I think that all of them are veterans, and all of them are going to be ready to go week one when we play Atlanta at Acrisure Stadium. So honestly, I'd rather just give the start to Drew Aller and let him go out there with guys like Jeremy Bernard, Roman Wilson, Brandon Smith, who looks like he's going to be back this week, and see what he can do out there against the top players that will be playing for the Buffalo Bills, and see how that goes. That's probably what I would do. But if A-Rod, DK, and Pittman play like a drive or whatever, it's not going to bother me too much. $5 from Bernard says, after Big Mike's talk today, he's keeping 4 QBs, and I hate it. Certainly was indicating that that's probably what they're going to be doing, which I really don't agree with personally. I think if you're going to give somebody a roster spot, it's either you feel like that they can really help contribute in games, or in a quarterback's situation, if you're going to sit them and they're not going to be playing in games, they should at least either A, be a solid backup, or B, they're going to be playing scout team for you. I think this year's scout team quarterback is going to be Drew Aller. I just don't think it makes sense to keep Will Howard around, if I'm being completely honest with you, in terms of the active roster, right? Because I think, Ponzi, this team could release him and get him back on the practice squad. He could still be a part of this team this year as a practice squad player, but the Steelers really like Will Howard that much, or they feel like there's other teams out there that are going to poach him in free agency, off of waivers, off the practice squad? Who do they think Will Howard is and what he's done to this point in his career? With all due respect to Will Howard. And by the way, I would love to keep Will around on the practice squad because I think he could be a solid backup in this league one day. But we have to be honest with ourselves in terms of what Will Howard is, where he was drafted, what he's shown in the preseason to this point. And I just don't think there's a whole lot of a market for teams being like, oh, Will Howard got waived, we got to poach him off of waivers right now. I just don't think there's a lot of teams out there that are going to be doing that. So I don't think it's really necessary to sacrifice another person's roster spot so that Will Howard, a potential future backup, can have a roster spot on this team. What do you think, Ponzi?
I mean, I really do think I just don't agree with you carrying 4 quarterbacks unless you're a bad team. Unless you know that you're not going to be competitive this year, then yeah, carry 4 quarterbacks. That's what the Browns did last season and the year before that. And I do think that there's a difference between carrying 4 quarterbacks when you're a playoff caliber roster, you literally just made the playoffs last year, and then carrying 4 quarterbacks when you're a bad team.
When you're the Browns.
Exactly.
Last year.
it's one of those things where it's like you have to outweigh the risk and the cons, or the pros and cons, to carrying 4 quarterbacks. And it's like, for me, I don't think there's that many pros other than just, you get to keep Will Howard around, which, like, yeah, sure, it's cool. I think he could be a really good backup for the Steelers, and maybe, he could have that starter potential. Maybe I'm wrong in my projection of him. I don't want to say that I don't believe in him, but, like, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think NFL teams are going to be lining up like you said. And, like, I think there's a good chance he stays with the Steelers. And, like, is that a death sentence to him competing for the QB1 job in 2027?
Yes.
Most likely.
Yes,
But, like,
it would be.
and it's like, yeah, but, like, we have to be realistic of how we view Will Howard. I understand he's very likable. He's a good kid. He works really hard. But, like, it's time to be a little bit real about Will Howard. And, like, I think, after this preseason game, maybe there is a chance that this is his last chance with the Steelers. And if that's a mistake, that's a mistake. But, like, the onus was for him to prove us wrong. I don't really see how he has.
Yeah, true. I'm on record saying that, those 2 interceptions that he threw last week, I mean, the first one I think was partly on him for sure. But both of them, Roman Wilson was running terribly run routes on both of them. Now, Will needs to have the wherewithal and the vision post-snap to not pull the trigger on those. But, like, the idea that, like, Will Howard had 2 just absolutely abysmal interceptions and, like, Roman was doing everything right there, that's not the case.
Yeah.
But then it's also the case that Will looks pretty skittish in the pocket outside of a couple really good examples of him stepping up. He's trying to leave pockets out the back door, as I like to say, which is around the tackles, and that's usually a quick way to go get sacked quickly. In the National Football League, we saw that with Kenny Pickett, and honestly, there's a lot of similarities between Kenny Pickett and Will Howard, in my opinion, in terms of their overall skill set. Only one went in the first round. Well, that's just on the Steelers being dumb, picking Kenny Pickett in the first round.
Yeah.
And then, Will Howard was a 6th-rounder, So I look at Drew Aller, and he definitely better fits the archetype that is worked out here in Pittsburgh. The big body, the big arm, the big-time playmaking ability that we saw last week. I mean, last week, guys, Drew Aller, obviously the stat line wasn't as good, but I think he probably had 3 of his best throws throughout the preseason in that game. All right. He had that awesome throw over the middle of the field to that intermediate level of the field where he perfectly placed it over the linebacker and below the safety on the 2-minute drill. Then he, of course, had that out of structure play rolling to his left with a guy in his face, and he still delivered a beautiful downfield shot to Lake McCree. That's the one that's gone viral. And then there was the one where he had the back foot, back shoulder, like 30 yards down the field. That is an insane throw. And by the way, everyone talks about the Steelers drafting another quarterback in round 1 next year. You'd be lucky to find a quarterback with the arm talent to even attempt that kind of throw. And that's not even counting the seam shots that were dropped in this past game, Ponzi. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Drew Aller can do this week. Hopefully he gets the opportunity to play with guys that might actually have a chance to be on this team, not only this year, but when Drew eventually gets a chance to be this team's starting quarterback down the road. But yeah, I think that's probably where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at right now. And if they keep 4 quarterbacks, I just hope that it doesn't come back to bite us in the ass because we don't have enough depth on special teams or on defense or whatever later on in the season.
And I really do think that there's a conversation that needs to be had about, like, okay, well, it was Howard's it's only his 2nd game, but, like, this is Drew Aller's 2nd game, like, ever in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Howard has had chances and has basically had
it was technically Will's 2nd game.
Yeah, it is too. But what I'm saying is that, like, he had that redshirt year to try and get the processing good, to try and understand, really get into his mechanics. And I'm going to be honest, I think Aller looks better right now. And it's just like he's doing more with less, and I don't think that's a good sign for Howard.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out in the preseason finale versus Buffalo here on Thursday. But $2 here from Bernard again says, I want Aller to start with good receivers. I'm with you there. I think that if Aller has a good game on Thursday with the first team, second team unit, he's going to solidify himself as this team's probable week 1 starter in 2027. All right, like if he goes out there, has 3 pretty darn good performances in the preseason, and then he follows that up with really good scout team performances behind the scenes in practices this year versus the Steelers' first team defense. I mean, you drafted this kid with a lot of talent for a reason. You drafted a quarterback this year instead of next year for a reason as well. And this guy certainly has starter level talent, and it seems like he's developing some of those starter level nuances to his game. The the touch, the decision-making, the footwork that was missing from his game at Penn State. Everyone knew this guy was a round one caliber physical talent. Now it seems like he's putting the nuances together because he's getting better coaching.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really see an upside to drafting a quarterback in round one next year if you believe Drew Aller can be a good starter for you next year. And frankly, like, would you rather have Drew Aller after a full year of coaching from Mike McCarthy and tutelage from Aaron Rodgers, or a first-round rookie coming right out of college next year? I would probably rather go with Drew Aller in that situation because he's gotten a year of NFL coaching. We know he's got round one caliber physical talent, so he's going to be bringing a similar level of talent to the quarterback you would draft in round one next year anyways, only he's had the tutelage, he's had the coaching for a year, and he's had some preseason experience. So for me, we know that the Steelers quarterback next year is going to have to be cheap because of the cap situation here. And if the Steelers do end up extending Joey Porter Jr., that situation's only going to accentuate this situation where the Steelers have to have a cheap quarterback next year. Then I think Drew Aller probably gives this team the best chance of having a high-end starting quarterback next year on a cheap contract. That's where I'm at right now.
And like the whole thing is that I'm willing to go through the growing pains with Aller, especially given his upside, rather than, obviously you don't have first-round capital on him. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, if there's a guy you really like next year, Mike McCarthy is like convinced he's the savior of Pittsburgh football, then yeah, sure, I guess. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, you have some veterans leaving your roster. Like, your roster is getting a little older. You have youth in there, but like, let's say Roman Wilson is not going to live up to standards. Well, then do you need another wide receiver? There's a good class of wide receivers that we're expecting. What if you do trade Joey Porter Jr.? You're going to have to replace that. Like, I'd rather spend my first round pick next year on a position
player that can help you win.
Exactly. So it's like, if we're going to be trying to go through the quarterback process, just go with the project QB that you're trying to give a redshirt year anyway that has that upside. And if it fails, okay, it fails. But like, at least we tried with this, and we're addressing the team needs rather than just going with the quarterback just because we want to get a quarterback.
Yeah. $5 from Bernard again says waste of a roster spot for a fourth QB that won't even play. Won't even play, but also won't even practice. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, the thing that people need to realize is that in an NFL locker room, during the week, because of the way the CBA is set up, there's really only two quarterbacks throughout the course of the week that get snaps. There's the starting quarterback, obviously, who you have to prepare your starter to play. And then there's a scout team quarterback who plays against your first team defense to get your defense ready versus that week's opponent's offense. And I think, obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the starting quarterback this year. So who's going to be the guy taking scout team reps? It's probably going to be the guy that they spent a higher draft pick on, that was actually drafted within this head coach's regime, that is more, I would say, starter-level talent in his arm, and has shown more of that this preseason. That's Drew Aller. So, like, the reason why I think they really like Mason Rudolph as a QB2 is because he's already proven that he doesn't need scout team reps throughout the year to come into an NFL game and play pretty well. He didn't really get any scout team reps in the year. He came in at the end of the season to save the season a couple years back because he was the QB3 for most of that year, right? So he wasn't getting a lot of scout team reps. He was just sitting on the roster as the QB3. And he came in late in the season, played pretty darn well. He's established already that he can do that. So if the Steelers want Rodgers to get the first team reps and then Aller to get the scout team reps, it makes sense to have Rudolph as the QB2. And then if Will Howard's on the team, he doesn't really have a role. He's just kind of there this season. He's not taking scout team reps. He's not playing in games unless there's multiple injuries. And even if there is multiple injuries, I think they'd probably play Drew Aller over him because, he's probably got more of the starter upside heading into future years, and they probably want to evaluate him before they want to evaluate Howard as a potential future starting quarterback option. So I just don't see really the pathway here that makes sense to spend a 53-man roster spot on Will Howard. I would use a practice squad spot on him.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like I think Will Howard could be a solid backup in this league someday because next year Mason Rudolph's a free agent. Aaron Rodgers is retiring. Like, if Drew Aller is this team's starting quarterback next year, I'd like to have Will Howard as his backup. I would like that to happen. Will's a hard worker. I feel like, by this time next year, he could absolutely be at that level that Mason Rudolph currently is. Okay? But, am I willing to spend a roster spot in a win now season to make sure I get my next year's QB2? Like, listen, man, if someone poaches Will Howard, that's just going to be how it goes. But at this point, I think the Steelers have a pretty decent chance of keeping Will Howard on their practice squad if they waive him. So I feel like that's probably the correct decision.
And everything indicates from what Mike McCarthy said today about like, oh, well, the time restraints don't really affect quarterback development. And like, he's advocating hard for keeping 4 quarterbacks. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a long discussion with him and Omar Khan. But like, I just don't see a point. Like, it just does not make that much sense, especially in a season where this is a lot of your veterans last season. If it gets thin and like, God forbid something happen and you don't have an extra running back or extra wide receiver, extra cornerback,
extra
in a
defensive
game,
tackle.
exactly, in a game, just because you kept 4 quarterbacks and 3 of them aren't even really going to play that much, or one of them, Mason Rudolph obviously would go in if Rodgers gets hurt, but like the other 2, they're kind of just like
they're just there.
They're just there. They're not going to go in.
And at least with Aller, he won't be playing in games this year unless there's multiple injuries, but at least he's practicing, right? He's practicing as the scout team quarterback, getting those reps against the first team defense. And then the thing that I really don't want them to do, Ponzi, is keep 4 quarterbacks and then split the scout team reps and say, we're developing 2 quarterbacks at the same time. It's like, listen, man, there's to me, there's no comparison in terms
that's Jets level to me.
There's no comparison in terms of who has more future starter upside, and that's Drew Aller at this point. Okay, so I would say put all your resources, put all those scout team reps on his plate, and then listen, if you have Will Howard on the practice squad, great. He can go through individual drills, he continue to stay with the team, learn the offense, continue to get tutelage from Aaron Rodgers. But like, is that role within this team worth a 53-man roster spot? I personally don't at this point. I think the worst thing the Steelers can do for Drew Aller's development is force him to share scout team reps with another quarterback that has a very small chance of being a starting quarterback in this league, in my opinion. And apparently, according to their opinion as well, because if they really believed in Will Howard, they wouldn't have used the 3rd-round pick on another quarterback.
Especially, like considering the draft board at the time, there was a lot of people, and, myself included, thinking that they could have gotten Drew Aller a little later. They got their guy. They went out and got their guy. So, like, I think that, like, if Will Howard, there's nothing saying that, the practice squad is the end of your NFL career. There's a lot of guys,
far from it.
Like Kurt Warner, went from Bragging Groceries. You had a lot of, undrafted guys, late round guys that could, go ahead and make their impact. But the difference between them and Will Howard is that, like, you're going to have to go through that. Like what? Will Howard was a 5th-round pick?
6th round.
6th-rounder. Yeah, they invested draft capital. They also invested draft capital in Eli Heidenreich, and he's probably not even going to make the roster. Mm-hmm. So it's like, obviously the last pick, but like some of these, draft picks are just start throws, guys.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure Will has been working his butt off, and he's been, grinding, and he's been trying to work and trying to prove himself as a potential young QB option. But like, sometimes you're just going to have to go through that. And like, it's up to him to prove them wrong.
Yeah, the opportunities usually come thin for 6th-rounders, and especially when he's competing with, an established veteran and Mason in a win-now season for QB2 duties, and then he's competing with a guy that was drafted 3 rounds ahead of him with more arm talent. It's just going to be an uphill battle. It's nothing against Will, and we like Will here.
Yeah.
And we think that he could be a solid backup even for this team in the future. It's just, like, I don't think it's worth keeping him on the active roster when you could probably keep him in the same exact role and get him on the practice squad and, save that extra 53-man roster spot for somebody that can actually help this team win games this year. That's just our take on it. $2 from Bernard says, don't trust Roman. Go get Hill. Listen, man, like we said it on the show yesterday, if you watched it, I would go into the season with Roman just because he's had a really strong camp. Aaron Rodgers has been gassing him up all preseason long, and it seems like, he's Rodgers' guy right now. But like, I can tell you this right now, Ponzi, if he's drifting up the field and like he did on those 2 crossers last week, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be his best friend for very much longer. And when that happens, the Steelers could be looking to the free agency or even trade markets to go get a 3rd receiver to add to DK and Pittman. Because I know a lot of people will say, well, let's just put Jeremy in there. But like Jeremy has even said it himself, he feels anxious out there at the first team offense because he doesn't really know it all that well yet. And, sometimes it does take some of these guys a little bit longer to get the offense. Rodgers himself has said Jeremy's not there in terms of mastering the offense yet. Jeremy has said it himself. He even says he feels low-key scared to play with Aaron Rodgers at this point. Does that sound like somebody that's ready to take on full-time starting reps with the starting offense, man? I think Jeremy Bernard's got a very, very bright future with this team. It's just sometimes it takes these rookies a little bit of time to fully get it. And with Aaron Rodgers, he expects veteran level nuance and understanding of the offense if you're going to be out there. And right now, Jeremy Bernard is
scared.
Is scared.
Only Key points that out here at the Super. He scares our wide receivers, lol. And the thing is that multiple wide receivers have said that. Christian Watson said that, and they took a while to get their connection. Obviously, he didn't help himself out, but a lot of wide receivers. Devontae took a little bit to get accustomed to.
Yes. By the way, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
This is a good thing. Aaron Rodgers has extremely high standards for his wide receivers, just like any good leader has extremely high standards for the people that they're leading. What do you want? A Russell Wilson out there that somebody fucks up out there and he says, "You're good, King. You're good, King. You're good." It's like, no, I want people on my team when it comes to leadership that will point out when people aren't doing the right things and will hold people accountable. That's how championship cultures are run. So, I have no problem with Aaron Rodgers, holding people accountable. And listen, man, my response to people like Jeremy Bernard or anybody else that will say that it's stress-inducing playing with Aaron Rodgers is be on your shit. This is the National Football League, man. There's no participation medals here. You have to be on your shit. You have to be a professional. This is your job. You're being paid millions of dollars to know the offense and operate it at a high level. And if you're not doing that, you can't blame Aaron Rodgers for not wanting to throw you the football, period. So, listen, my plan when it comes to a potential Tyreek Hill signing would be, let's go into the season with Roman. Let's see what he can do with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football. If it gets to the point where midway through the year or whenever it is, when Tyreek Hill says, okay, I'm healthy now, I'm ready to sign with the team to try and make a playoff push somewhere. If Roman's not up to snuff at that point and Jeremy isn't doing a good enough job stepping up and the Steelers could use a speedy wide receiver 3 that's kind of in the same category of player as Roman Wilson is, talking about a smaller kind of speed threat type of player. Obviously, Tyreek Hill and Roman Wilson are nowhere close to the same caliber of player in that category, but they are in the same category. If Tyreek Hill, one of the best players in that category in the entire league, at least when healthy, becomes available, he's a veteran, so he's going to be playing to the standards that Aaron Rodgers will set for his wide receivers. I mean, I'm guessing that he's going to be back to full speed by the time that he's ready to sign with a team. Maybe he's lost a little bit of a step from his prime days coming off that major knee injury, but I still think that he can be a pretty darn good, at least wide receiver 3 when he comes back. He shouldn't come very expensive. It'll be like a 1-year prove-it deal. I don't know, man. I feel like DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr., Tyreek Hill, in an emergency situation where Roman Wilson is just not cutting it, could be a very fun wide receiver trio for this year.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't cost you that much either.
Yeah, it really wouldn't. So, if it gets to that point, now, obviously, if Roman is balling out or if Jeremy is balling out, you stick with what you have. But, in the event where neither of those guys is ready to step up, then I do think I think the Steelers will make a play for Tyreek Hill whenever he is available to sign in free agency sometime in the middle of this year. $2 from Joseph says Bernard is a plant to encourage donations. He's not a plant, but Bernard certainly does.
He's a real one, man.
He is a real one. Like every single time when we come on this show, we've already got a queue of Bernard super chats. Speaking of Bernard, another 5 says, I wish Big Mike keeps it a buck and just say Will and Drew will play instead of playing these mind games in a week 3 preseason game versus the Bills. I'm sure we'll have some sort of announcement that gets announced tomorrow. Who's going to be starting? Who's going to be the backup? Who's not playing in this game? So I don't know if he's necessarily playing mind games or anything like that. It's just they haven't made the final decision yet. $2 from Jordan says, can we just build the Drew Aller statue already? No, we cannot. We cannot crown him the franchise savior because he does need to prove it in regular season games. But obviously, every quarterback that becomes a franchise quarterback gets their opportunity while they're completely unproven in the regular season at some point in time, right? At one point, Patrick Mahomes was completely unproven. Josh Allen was completely unproven at one point, right? I'm not saying Drew is those guys, by the way. I'm just saying that the best quarterbacks in the league had to start somewhere, man. They had to, get their chance. And some of these quarterbacks, they do have to wait for an injury or something like that to get their chance. But it seems like the Steelers really like Aller's talent, and they think that he's got the physical skill set of a franchise quarterback in this league. And they feel like with McCarthy's coaching and with Rodgers' tutelage, you give him a year to kind of, cook in the oven here, bake in the oven for a bit. By next year, he can combine those physical capabilities with the nuance and the coaching, and then you have a franchise quarterback. And hopefully they're right on that. We won't know the answer to that until we get to next season, when Aller eventually probably gets his chance to start for this team. But, I do think that, their plan isn't completely unfounded. It is not completely ridiculous to think that Drew Aller can be this team's next franchise quarterback. Will it happen? We'll see. All right. Well, that's the best I can give you right now. But I think he's shown a lot of promise in these first 2 preseason games, and he certainly got the physical capabilities to be that for this team down the road. $2 from Bernard says, who's more clutch, A-Rod or Favre? Definitely A-Rod throughout the course of his career, right? I mean, I don't know the numbers on fourth quarter comebacks and 2-minute drives to win games or anything like that, but Favre had a number of really bad interceptions to end playoff games in his career, especially later in his career. So I know Aaron Rodgers hasn't been necessarily like the most clutch quarterback, especially like in NFC championship games. He's been to like 1 million NFC championship games and he's only won one of them. But I think that when you look at the numbers in totality, I would say Favre is probably the more clutch quarterback. Hey, we've got 10 from Hajile. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. He says, if JPJ does get traded, I wouldn't hate it. If Rapp is right about getting a first for him, then we get 2 firsts in a stacked draft next year. Though I'd rather pay so that our team stays the same. Yeah, it's such a weird situation with Joey Porter Jr. right now because Joey is looking to get paid as the highest paid corner in all of football. All right. And Joey's a really good player. Is he the best corner in the league? Probably not. I think he's probably in that borderline top 10 range because, he's really good in man coverage. He's not the best in zone coverage. And then, you will see him have some tackling woes from time to time. Last year, he cleaned up the penalties, but it was a big issue before last season. I don't know if it's an absolute guarantee that the penalties will stay down in years to come, especially with how physical his play style is. We're just going to have to see on that. But, it's been so long since this team has had a homegrown, literally, talent at this position that's been a legit number 1 guy. It's probably been since Ike Taylor, since this team has had a homegrown talent like this. And for them to trade him away in his prime when he's just entering his prime at 26 years old, and his dad's a Steelers legend, all these different things, the fan base will riot. Even if it is a first-round pick, even if the Steelers do double up on their first-round picks for next season, I think that this fan base will be absolutely devastated if Joey Porter Jr. gets traded. Now, I will say I don't think a trade is impossible. I think a trade request is actually getting more and more likely by the day because I think Joey's going to want to try and put pressure on this team to pay up before the start of the season because, as we all know, the Steelers do not engage in contract negotiations during the season. So the deadline is really week 1. And the question is, does this get done before then? And if not, will Joey decide to play on his final year of his rookie contract, or will he decide to sit out games? I highly doubt he sits out games, but I know for a fact he does not want to play on the final year of his rookie contract. Because let's face it, he's a lot better and he deserves to get paid a lot more than what he's slated to get on the final year of his rookie deal. So I know he would be pissed if he had to play on that this year. And I think a lot of Steelers people in the locker room would be upset if the team forced him to play on that. So it kind of puts the Steelers in a tough position. And if there's a team like, say, the Chicago Bears, for example, that already have their franchise quarterback, that already have, their head coach of the future, etc., they like to play a lot of man in that defense. Perfect fit for Joey Porter Jr. And frankly, a perfect fit for Chicago. If they come to Pittsburgh and say, hey, we'll pay him the contract you won't pay him, make him the highest paid corner in the game, and we'll give you our first-round pick next year, I think the Steelers would at least think about it. I'm not saying that I would take it. I think the Steelers might think about it because they still have some pretty good talent at the corner position. Jamel Dean was coming off the best year of his professional career in Tampa last year. Asante Samuel Jr., who's been like the star of camp to this point. And then, Brandon Echols is getting back. Jalen Ramsey's obviously going to be playing big nickel. You've got Dalen Everett, who the team is super high on coming out of Georgia. He's going to be a big part of this team's plans at corner in the future. Like, if you can double up on first-round draft picks, that's another premium draft asset there. If the Steelers feel like this just doesn't get to the point where they feel comfortable paying Joey $33 or more million a season, I can't say I'm 100% certain the Steelers wouldn't trade him if a first-round pick was on the table. I don't know, man. That's where I'm at with it. $10 from Robert Locke says, I think I won that card at Courtyard, but I couldn't find it. Were you the demonic one or whatever, or whatever it was? Check again, Robert Locke. It should be there. Check one more time for me. If it's not there, let me know.
We were having some internet issues.
Yeah, we were having some internet
issues.
So
we did transfer the card, though.
Yes, we transferred the card. I think it officially sent today, Robert Locke. So go check your Courtyard account. It should be in there. Okay. Then $5 from Tegan Stewart says, if Michael Pittman Jr. and DK play this week, it is reasonable to want Howard to start to see how he is with a legit wide receiver 1 and 2. If anything, I think it makes more sense for Aller to play over Will, Tegan, because I think it's pretty clear that this team views Aller above Howard in terms of their future quarterback rankings, in terms of who could be their starting quarterback next year. And when it comes to that, I think that you'd want to see how Drew plays with MPJ and DK this week, just so you get a little taste of what it could look like next year, right? So I actually think it's the flip side here, where if DK and Pittman are playing, I think it makes more sense to play Aller, because I think Aller has the better chance to be the team's starting quarterback next year. But that's just where I'm at with this whole situation. $20 from Gray Merrill. So we'll spin the wheel here for my man Gray Merrill. Says, who do you think will play better this year, Dowdle or Warren? I think that Warren will be more consistent, but Dowdle will have 2 or 3 big games where he destroys their defense. Love the show, guys. Keep it up. Appreciate you, Gray Merrill, for the 20. While I'm answering the question here, I think that Warren will be better this year. I think the overall numbers will be better. But like you said, Dowdle tends to, have these ginormous games. We've seen that over the last couple of years where, like, he'll have a big stretch of, like, nothing burgers, 50 yards rushing a game, and then he'll have a stretch of, like, 3 games out of 4 where he gets 150-plus rushing yards or something. Like, just crazy stuff. So I do think that there will be certain games where Dowdle just completely takes over. But then, like you said, I do think Warren will probably be the more consistent one and can do more things, by the way. Like, he'll be more of the third down back, really good pass protector, really good out of the backfield as a receiver, makes guys miss all the time, super dynamic, big play threat, in my opinion. He's where I think that a lot of the explosiveness will come from this group, both in the passing game and the run game at the running back position. All right, did we spin the wheel? What was it? F the Browns! F the Browns! F the Browns! F the Browns! Perfect week to F the Browns here, guys, because, of course, they're the laughingstock of the National Football League. Once again, because they have named Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback over Shadur Sanders. After Deshaun Watson, I might say correctly points out that the Cleveland Browns fan base is terrible. But you probably don't want to say that if you're currently a quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. I think that we both agree, Ponzi, that the Browns fan base, sucks. They like to talk shit, even though that franchise has done absolutely nothing throughout the course of their entire history. They haven't been a good football team, like a legitimate title contender in 40, 50 years?
Yeah, I mean, you could argue the year that they beat the Steelers, they were a pretty good team.
Not a title contender.
Yeah.
They were a playoff caliber team. They weren't a title contender.
Didn't they lose by 1 score to the Chiefs, who made the Super Bowl?
Did they?
Yeah.
Maybe they did. I don't know, but I didn't consider that team a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
And I will say, it's one thing, to hold that playoff win over your rival's head. Yeah, sure, the Steelers have not won a playoff game in 10 years, blah, 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 blah. They haven't done anything. In fact, the team left Cleveland, then won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
shout out to the Ravens for that one. But then, obviously they cheered when their own starting quarterback got an Achilles injury a couple of years ago. That is the most That is the most evil shit I've seen. And I know that Deshaun's a bad person. Okay, we all understand that. We call him Massage Boy here on this channel. But like to see someone tear their Achilles and to cheer for it is crazy stuff, man. It really is. $5 from Marco Mance says, if Porter gets extended, do you think Ramsey is shipped out by next offseason? Completely depends on how Ramsey plays this year. I will say this though: if Porter gets extended, the pressure on Ramsey to be like an awesome player this year goes up exponentially. Like he can't just be like a solid player for this team because his cap hit goes up even more next season. And you know, it's a situation where the Steelers could let him go pretty decently. So, and save some cap space. So like if Joey Porter Jr. comes in, is making $33+ million a season, and then Jalen Ramsey is like not up to snuff, he's not, you know, what they envisioned for him as the big nickel in this defense, then yeah, he's going to be shipped off somewhere next year, whether that be via trade or cut. He'll be a casualty of some variety. But if he plays really well, and I think that he's more than capable of playing very well in this defense, playing multiple facets, he's going to play safety and base, he's going to play big nickel when they're in their nickel packages, and then he's going to play dime linebacker when they're in dime. So I think that is like the perfect situation for him at this stage of his career, and I think he's going to be a big impact player here for this team. And I think that if I had to guess, I think Ramsey's back for another season in 2027. $2 from Bernard says, Jack, I don't know what this one means, Bernard. I said Favre or A-Rod. I did say Aaron Rodgers. If you're trying to say I didn't mention Favre or Rodgers, I did say Rodgers in your previous question. But then $2 says A-Rod or Deshaun Watson. LOL. Aaron Rodgers, not even close. $5 from Bernard Nixon says even Adam Thielen said he was stressed out playing with A-Rod. Yep. I mean, when a guy that has seen as much football as Adam Thielen says that he was stressed out playing with Aaron Rodgers, you know Rodgers holds his guys to an extremely, extremely, extremely high standard. So, you know, it's not a knock on Jeremy Bernard to say that he might not be ready to play at that level in his rookie season. It's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to pick up an NFL playbook and play at full speed right away. So it's not a knock on Jeremy. I feel as close to 100% that this guy's going to be a really good player for this team down the road. It might not be this year, and that's okay. Okay, that is it for the super chats, at least to this point. Make sure you guys send in. Oh, never mind. We do have a $2 Venmo coming in from Joshua C. He says, what does your 53-man roster look like? Well, Joshua, I'm actually going to be revealing my final roster projection in just a few days. I don't want to spoil it, so I won't spoil it here on live, but my advice to you would be to keep an eye on the channel. I will have my final 53-man roster projection up here in the coming days. All right, man. Well, let's get into our first segment of the day, which is the latest news and rumors surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coming up later, I'm going to tell you why 2026 is going to be a transition year for the Steelers, and that's okay. And then in the third segment, we'll go into my preview for preseason week 3, where I give you 12 Steelers players that need to have a strong performance against the Bills this week. And then, of course, we'll have our Super Bowl Madden sim to finish up our Madden simulated season and our live show for today. So make sure you guys buckle up. We're just getting started here on Steelers Talk Live. So without further ado, let's get into the latest news and rumors. Welcome into Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. On tonight's show, I'm going to be telling you why I believe Drew Aller, the rookie out of Penn State, should be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh this week in Pittsburgh's preseason finale versus the Buffalo Bills. Then we'll discuss whether or not the Pittsburgh Steelers should consider trading either Mason Rudolph or Will Howard before roster cutdown day this weekend. And then what could the Pittsburgh Steelers get in a trade for Caleb Johnson? I'm going to answer that question at the end of the show, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But before we get into the news and rumors content here tonight, guys, I do want to let you know that we have a brand new t-shirt design available on our merch website right now. You can find it at chatsports.com/rodeo for our last rodeo t-shirts. You guys can see Aaron Rodgers on there with the cowboy hat doing the discount double check celebration with the Chat Sports belt buckle on there. So if you guys want to pick one up today, you can find it at chatsports.com/rodeo. Thank you. A big thanks to Arnold, our merch guy, for coming up with this awesome design. And thank you to everybody that's already made a purchase. We've already, put up 20 plus purchases of this t-shirt in just a few short days. So thank you so much for all of your guys' support. Again, that's chatsports.com/rodeo if you want to pick one up today. All right, so in my opinion, guys, Pittsburgh should start rookie quarterback out of Penn State, Drew Aller, this Thursday in Pittsburgh's preseason finale versus the Buffalo Bills, and start him over Will Howard, the second-year quarterback out of Ohio State. Now, the reason for that, guys, first of all, is we don't need to see anything from Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph, in my opinion. These guys are veterans. We know exactly what they are in this league at this point, and I want to do some evaluating of some younger quarterbacks, just like we got the chance to do last week versus the New York Jets. And let's be real, guys. Drew Aller is likely Pittsburgh's plan at QB1 heading into 2027 at this point. Because of the cap situation, we know that the quarterback for this year's team next year is going to be a younger and kind of cheaper quarterback that's not going against the cap all that much. And we know that the team likes Aller, and McCarthy has said it himself that he's a round one caliber physical talent. So I'm guessing their thinking is bring in a round one caliber physical talent, teach him footwork, teach him how to mentally process a defense, give him a great tutor in Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to be ready to start next year. And if that's the case, this is an opportunity for the Pittsburgh Steelers to see him first versus better competition, because the Bills will obviously be playing certain players that'll be making their roster and on their practice squad, et cetera, instead of the players that are going to be, serving you your coffee at Starbucks here next week, like Aller's had to go up against these first 2 weeks of the preseason. But another benefit is that Aller gets to play with better players as well. And I think that, it'll give you a cleaner evaluation of how ready Drew Aller is at this current state of his NFL career, playing with better players around him, as opposed to Jacoby Keeney-James and Joaquin Davis, who was just released today, and all these different players that he's had to play with through the first 2 weeks of the preseason. I'd rather see him play with certain players that he could be throwing to in future seasons when he could be this team's starting quarterback down the road. Now it's time to pick your starter for this week's game versus the Buffalo Bills down there in the comment section. For me, I want Drew Aller to start this game, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Type AR if you want Rodgers to get some time in the preseason here. Type MR if you want Rudolph to start. Type DA for Drew Aller or WH for Will Howard. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And while you're answering that question, I want to tell you about today's presenting sponsor here at PrizePicks and a great promotion that you guys can take advantage of on Tuesdays this year, which is called Taco Tuesdays. On Taco Tuesdays, throughout the day, PrizePicks releases multiple discounted player projections called tacos that are marked with a taco icon. Just put them in your normal daily fantasy lineups on PrizePicks on Tuesdays and watch your sports for that night to see if your lineup wins. You guys can take a look here at our Taco Tuesday lineup. We're taking the more on the taco here for strikeouts for Paul Skeens, as well as the more on William Contreras and the more on Ty France as well. Best of all, guys, PrizePicks just switched their offer. All you have to do is play your first $5 lineup with code HMA, and if you win that lineup, you get $150 in additional lineups. Because of this new offer, there's not a better time to join than right now, right before the start of football season, so lock in and win that first lineup today. One more time, that's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. So get in on the Taco Tuesday action right now by clicking the link in the comments and description to download the app today. As always, play responsibly, and a big thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring us here at Steelers Talk. So the next question that we're going to discuss on today's show is if Pittsburgh gets the opportunity to trade either Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, should they take it? Because I think it's pretty obvious the team will not be trading Aaron Rodgers. They will not be trading Drew Aller. Neither of those guys are going to get traded or cut. They're going to make this team, all right? And it's even looking, pretty likely at this point that the Steelers are just going to keep all four quarterbacks, and they're not going to cut or trade anybody at this point. But if anybody's going to get cut or traded, it's going to be Mason Rudolph or Will Howard. So let's talk about Mason Rudolph first, guys. I think I'd only consider trading Rudy if I felt like Aller or Howard was ready to be this team's QB2 for this season. Because here's the thing, guys. Rudolph has value on this team as an established QB2 that doesn't require scout team reps to play decently in an NFL regular season game. We've seen this in that season where Mason came in and finished off the season with 3 straight wins, leading the Steelers to a 10-7 record and a playoff appearance. He really didn't get any scout team reps that season because he was the QB3 behind both Kenny Pickett, the starting quarterback, and Mitchell Trubisky, who was the scout team quarterback most weeks in Pittsburgh that year. So we know that Mason is somebody that's capable of not getting those scout team reps during the week. Those will likely go to Drew Aller and still be able to come in the event of an Aaron Rodgers injury and keep the ship afloat if it's a short-term injury sort of thing. And personally, I don't think that Howard or Aller are ready to be the QB2 of this team as it currently stands right now. I think that we've seen through the first 2 preseason games that these guys are not as polished as Mason Rudolph is at this current point in time. And in a win now season, I do think that veterans or that Mason's veteran experience does hold value for this team that they are going to covet over everything else when it comes to the QB2 conversation. So because of that, if Pittsburgh is going to trade any of these 4 quarterbacks, I think Will Howard would be the guy that I would be quote-unquote shopping. Now, I would prefer just to waive Will Howard and put him on the practice squad and hope that nobody poaches him up. And frankly, guys, I don't think anybody would at this point. There's a ton of teams that, obviously passed on him multiple times. There's a reason why he was a 6th-round pick, and I don't think he's done anything this preseason to make teams think, oh, we got to poach Will Howard off the waiver wire or on the Steelers practice squad. So the question here is there really any trade market for Will Howard? And the answer to that question, guys, is probably not. Like I just mentioned, if nobody's going to be willing to take him off of waivers or take him off the practice squad for the Steelers, is anybody going to throw any sort of draft capital on Howard? I mean, there was teams that weren't willing to spend a 5th-round pick on him coming out in the draft, right? So why would they be willing to spend any sort of draft capital on him now when he's a couple years older and he hasn't done anything in this league? And like I mentioned, guys, I do think that Pittsburgh can get Will Howard back on their practice squad this year. So listen, if the Steelers want all 4 of these quarterbacks in the building this year, great. I think that's doable, but I just don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to roster all 4 quarterbacks. I think the best way forward is to roster Rodgers, Rudolph, and Aller, and then try your luck on the waiver wire with Will Howard in the hopes of bringing him back on the practice squad. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will Pittsburgh roster all 4 quarterbacks this year? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. Answer this question for me down there in the comments to let me know your take on the Steelers quarterback situation as it stands right now. Then our final topic today will shift to the running back room, where A2C Sports has presented 2 potential Caleb Johnson trade ideas before week 1. It does seem at this point, guys, with KJ not providing anything on special teams and him not, performing all that great in the preseason to this point, he certainly hasn't been a standout. Could he be on the move to one of these teams that might have had a pretty high grade on him coming out of Iowa in last year's NFL draft? I think it's definitely possible, but A to Z's first trade idea is simply a 7th-round pick in 2028 to send him to the San Francisco 49ers, where he would then be Christian McCaffrey insurance, essentially. This is what Tyler Forness from A to Z Sports had to say about this trade idea. This is a very interesting situation the Steelers have themselves in. Johnson had a great final season at Iowa, which got him selected in the 3rd round of the 2025 NFL Draft. He never got off the ground in Pittsburgh and doesn't have any major trait. What Johnson is as a player is quite simple. He's a Shanahan wide zone running back. It also makes him relatively replaceable, which further reduces his value. The Steelers seem done with Johnson, which makes this future 7th-round pick with a 7th-round pick with the contingency of being on the roster something that makes sense. And I do think that this landing spot would make some sense for KJ because he's right. He is a Shanahan-style wide zone runner. That's the kind of system that they ran at Iowa, and that's what got him drafted here in Pittsburgh and why I thought he was such a good fit for Arthur Smith's offense, which was supposed to be a lot of wide zone last year. Of course, they kind of went away from that because they had Aaron Rodgers in at quarterback, and they did some different things than what Art typically did in his offenses in years past. But I think that KJ would fit in nicely with San Francisco. It'd be, a low price point here for them to bring in somebody that they probably had a pretty high grade on. And Christian McCaffrey's been somebody that's dealt with some injuries in the past, not to mention they got that substation that's looming over every single practice and game that they have there in San Francisco. Of course, I'm just half joking on that, guys, but of course, this is something that could come into play as well with Christian McCaffrey with his injury history. But then we get to the second trade idea where A to Z Sports has, once again, a conditional 7th-round pick to send Caleb Johnson to the Jaguars, which is conditional on Johnson still being on the roster there in Jacksonville by week 3 this season, which I don't think is all that crazy. Of course, if that happens, this 7th-round pick would then turn into a 6th rounder, so a better draft pick than what San Francisco would be offering. This is what Wendell Ferreira from A to Z Sports had to say about this trade idea. The Jaguars lost Travis Etienne in free agency and haven't necessarily replaced him. Yes, they signed Chris Rodriguez Jr. and Amir Abdullah, and these players will continue or compete for reps and touches with Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen, 2 draft picks from last year. But adding a former 3rd-round pick with 3 years left on his rookie deal, despite fair questions around his actual talent level, for a minimal investment would make sense. And I also think this one would make some sense for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen runs a Sean McVay style of offense where they do run a lot of wide zone there in Jacksonville. So I think that from a scheme perspective, this makes some sense. And if they had a high grade on Caleb Johnson last year, they could consider bringing him in to compete for reps with Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen, the 2 guys that they drafted in last year's NFL draft. And I also like the compensation here better, obviously, because I think that if you trade for Caleb Johnson, if you're the Jaguars, you're probably going to have him on the active roster by week 3. So this is likely going to be a round 6 pick going to the Pittsburgh Steelers and a year earlier than the San Francisco deal. But listen, man, if Caleb Johnson gets traded, don't expect a whole lot in return, all right? This guy has done nothing in the NFL, and he's plays a low-value position as well. So I think that there might be some trade market for him, but as these guys from A to Z Sports had to say, I don't expect the compensation to be that much for the Pittsburgh Steelers, probably a late day 3 pick. What happens, though? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. How do you think the Steelers will resolve the Caleb Johnson situation this year? Type T if you think they trade him. Type R if you think that they roster him as a 4th running back. Or type C if you think they cut him. Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comment section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors. We're going to continue to get you guys daily Steelers News and Rumors updates on this channel every single day. So if you made it to the end of today's video, you guys will probably enjoy tomorrow's video as well. So if you don't want to miss any of our videos here on YouTube throughout the course of the 2026 season, click that subscribe button right now. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. First segment in the books here, guys. Coming up next, I'm going to be explaining why 2026 is a transition year for the Pittsburgh Steelers and why that's okay. And then after that, we'll get into my Week 3 preview where I will break down 12 Steelers players that need to have strong performances against the Bills. And then, of course, we have our Madden Super Bowl simulated game there. Yes, we do. We have a Venmo coming in from James S., $10. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Shout out to James with a 10. He says, appreciate you guys. Buffalo planning to sit Josh Allen and limit some starters. Should Mike McCarthy play Pittsburgh starters Thursday night or keep them on the sideline? I would say play the starting offensive line at least a little bit, just like they've done in these first 2 games. I would say be careful with guys like DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr. You know, if you got veterans that you trust to be able to be good to go for the start of the regular season, don't play them. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Cam Heyward, T.J. Watt, even Jalen Ramsey. Like, maybe you play Ramsey a bit just because he hasn't had a lot of practice time, so it'd be good to get those reps in for Ramsey. But, like, there's certain players that have been there all camp. You know that they're going to be good to go for the start of the season. There's no risk in risking those guys. But I do think that, you know, the starting O-line could use some more reps before we get into the season to help that process of gelling, you know, kind of occur. And then I think there's certain starters like some of the linebackers and et cetera that could certainly get some time. But I'm not going overboard, right? Like if there's players that I know for sure they're going to be impact players for this team, I'm not risking injury. I'm sitting them this game, but that doesn't mean that no starters would start. If I were the Steelers head coach, I think that I would have some out there, especially in the trenches, especially on the offensive side. But, you know, I'm not going to go too crazy, a drive or two, and, you know, put in the second teamers. $2 from Robert Locks has found it. Here we go. There we go, man. So shout out to Robert Locke, who won our Courtyard giveaway from this past week. And by the way, guys, we are about to unveil the card we're going to be giving away this week on this next video. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Then we got a 20 from Clarence Moore. Let's go, Clarence. Let's go, baby. He says, my personal opinion, Howard and Mason are gone. Get some draft capital if possible. We all in with Rodgers, and if he gets hurt to the point he can't return, season over, and then Drew takes over. My eyes show me Drew is mimicking A-Rod. So I don't disagree with either of your points there, Clarence. Obviously, Rodgers is the starter. And if he gets hurt for a long period of time where like his season's over and therefore the Steelers' season is pretty much over, I don't think they're just going to stick with Mason Rudolph for the rest of the season. Like they're going to want to evaluate a younger quarterback. And like I mentioned, I think the guy that they, I guess it's just F the Browns day. F the Browns. F the Browns. F the Browns. F the Browns. Type those F the Browns in the chat for me real quick here, guys. Shout out to Clarence for the 20. But to continue answering your question there, Clarence, I'm with you that like if Rodgers gets a season-ending injury and like you're either faced with the decision of going with Mason Rudolph to try and save your season or go to Drew Aller and start the evaluation process now. I think based on what we've seen from Drew, I think so far in preseason, I'm in agreement. I would go with Drew Aller for the rest of this season. And if he's really bad or if he gets injured as well, maybe at that point you elevate Will Howard from the practice squad, or if he's on the roster, he gets a chance at the end of the season, etc. And you kind of use the rest of this season to evaluate your young quarterbacks. Because let's be real, guys, if Aaron Rodgers suffers any sort of long-term injury, Mason Rudolph, he might win you games. But, like, the chances of this team winning a playoff game or winning multiple playoff games, very, very little. So, like, what's really the point at that point? I would rather spend that time and use those reps and use those games to evaluate what Drew and what Will potentially have. And I think that that's the correct take. But I think there's another wrinkle here, Clarence, that you're not thinking of, and that's the short-term Rodgers injury. What if Rodgers is just out for a week or two? Like, would I rather have Mason Rudolph play those games or Drew Aller? Right now, my answer to that question would be Mason Rudolph. Just because, like, I don't want to be throwing Drew Aller into the fire before he's necessarily ready. And it's just a short-term sort of thing. So if Mason goes 0-2, the season isn't necessarily over, right? But I do think Mason still gives his team the best chance to win football games on a week-to-week basis if it's a short-term injury sort of thing for Rodgers. So that's why you're keeping Mason. It's in the event of a short-term injury like it was last year, you can have Mason go in there and he can win you a ball game or two, keep the ship afloat. He knows how to handle those kinds of situations. And you don't have to put Drew in a position where he's not ready to take over the job and it's startling, etc. Like I think that, the Steelers want to do a good job managing Drew's workload and when he gets his opportunities. Because those are the type of things that can ruin a young quarterback's confidence if they're not ready just yet. But like you said, like if there is a long-term injury, there's really no real reason to play Mason. Honestly, the only reason that you could think of, Ponzi, to keep playing Mason in that scenario is neither Drew or Will are ready, and the Steelers don't want to throw them out into a situation where they're not ready to play. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that Mason still makes sense for this team this year, Clarence, because of the short-term injury kind of situation and scenario. But I'm in agreement that, like, if the team feels like Drew is ready for the opportunity and Rodgers is done for the season or playoffs are out of the picture for this team, I'm supportive of the idea of giving Drew, some games at the end of the year to see if we've got a guy here or if we should maybe go out and get a quarterback in round 1 next year. $2 from Bernard Nixon says A-Rod holds himself accountable too, 100%. And that was the last one. Cool. That's okay. We pushed it on the first one, so it's fine. All right, cool, man. Well, let's get into our next segment here, which is a cool segment here. I took a lot of time making this one. It's me explaining why I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are heading into a transitional year, going from Mike Tomlin to Mike McCarthy, why Aaron Rodgers is a big part of that transition, and what this team's plan is to really bring in the next wave of great Steelers talent here in Pittsburgh. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it right now. Here's why the Pittsburgh Steelers are heading into a transition year here in 2026. As the Steelers approach the 2026 NFL season, I believe that this year is going to be a transition season for your Pittsburgh Steelers. And guys, that is 100% okay with me. Welcome into Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today I'll be explaining why the Pittsburgh Steelers are heading into a transition year, why Aaron Rodgers is going to be a big part of that transition, and this team's plan to build the next great Steelers football team that hopefully can contend for Super Bowls perennially over the next decade. Now, make sure you guys click that subscribe button, but also go check out our brand new t-shirt that we have available on our website right now at chatsports.com/rodeo. It is our brand new The Last Rodeo t-shirts for Aaron Rodgers' final season here in Pittsburgh and in the NFL. He's got that cowboy hat on. He's doing the discount double check celebration with the Chat Sports logo, belt buckle there. So if you guys like this design, our guy Arnold here at Chat Sports, the guy that designs our merch, did a fantastic job in my opinion. And guys, this has been the highest selling item in the entire Chat Sports catalog since we released it on Saturday. You guys have been absolutely loving it. So if you guys haven't gotten yours yet and you want to get yours to celebrate Aaron Rodgers' final season here in Pittsburgh, go to chatsports.com/rodeo to pick yours up today. So a new day is coming here in Pittsburgh, guys, where this season is going to act very much as a bridge between the previous regime under former head coach Mike Tomlin to a new era of Steelers football under new head coach Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy in himself is very much a transitional head coach, where we are now entering, I believe, not only a transitional season for the Steelers, but a transitional era of Pittsburgh Steelers football here, where Mike McCarthy is not a long-term option, guys. He isn't at the head coaching position. I mean, a 62-year-old head coach just can't be. You know, like, he can only coach for so long. I mean, McCarthy was even contemplating retirement before he ended up taking this job here in Pittsburgh. So it's very unlikely that McCarthy is going to be a head coach here for a decade plus, like the last three head coaches in Pittsburgh have been, and Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher, and of course Chuck Noll. All of them were here for 15 years at least. That is not going to be the case with Mike McCarthy. It's going to be probably under a decade, somewhere between 5 to 8 years before McCarthy eventually calls it quits on a career and rides off into the sunset. And McCarthy's job as the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys, is to find and develop the next Steelers franchise QB while keeping the team competitive as they transition from a previous regime's kind of system to a new regime system, setting the stage for probably another young defensive-minded head coach down the road again. Because if you already have an established franchise quarterback, you don't necessarily need to bring in a young offensive mind to help develop that young quarterback, right? So the Steelers can go back to their tradition of hiring young defensive assistants if Mike McCarthy does his job and delivers the next franchise quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers over the next several years. But I don't want you guys to make a mistake, to mistake me here, okay? Just because I say the Steelers are heading into a transitional season this year doesn't mean that the Steelers are not trying to win now or that they're completely rebuilding. Of course, that's not the case. This team is still one of the older teams in the National Football League with a number of guys that they want to do right by and they want to try and win now for. Guys like Aaron Rodgers entering his final season. He would love to win a Super Bowl to ride off into the sunset. And then also Cam Heyward, who has been here forever, has been one of the best players in Steelers history from a statistics point of view, from a longevity point of view, but he hasn't been able to deliver a Super Bowl championship in his tenure here in Pittsburgh. And obviously the Steelers over the last several years have been trying to kind of cobble up these win-now rosters to do their best to get Cam Heyward a ring before he retires and after this year or potentially after next year. But I do think that there is a path for Pittsburgh to compete this season. Just because this team is going through a transition this year doesn't mean that it's necessarily impossible for this team to compete for a Super Bowl championship once we get to January. However, I do think that a lot needs to go right for this year's team for them to truly contend and be one of the best teams in the National Football League. First of all, will Mike McCarthy actually run a tight ship? He's been well known throughout his career for having highly penalized, undisciplined teams, and we've already seen that a little bit in this preseason. So that's a question mark. Will Aaron Rodgers' play elevate? You know, will the better receiving weapons around him and the better offense with Mike McCarthy coming in help get more out of Aaron Rodgers? That's going to be a big question mark. This is a young offensive line, and they need to gel and build that chemistry. Is that going to happen this year, or is there going to be growing pains? Does the run game thrive with Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle this year? Will the wide receiver upgrades hit? Michael Pittman Jr. is getting older. Roman Wilson's a giant question mark. Jeremy Bernard is a rookie. You know, will this group actually be the upgrade that we think it's going to be this year? Is Patrick Graham, the new defensive coordinator, the real deal? We're going to find out this year. Can the older players like T.J. Watt, Cam Heyward, Jalen Ramsey, etc., Jamel Dean, can those guys keep it up, or are they going to regress? And then will some of the youngins break through. Guys like Keeanu Benton, Derrick Harmon, Peyton Wilson, Roman Wilson. There's a number of younger players on this team that still need to break through. And I feel like if the Steelers are going to contend this year, guys, all 8 of these things that you see on screen probably need to come to fruition to make the Steelers one of the most well-rounded teams in the entire National Football League to hoist a 7th Lombardi Trophy this year. So coming up here, I'm going to be going over Pittsburgh's 2-part transition plan over the next several years while Mike McCarthy is the head coach here of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and why this year is going to play a big part in that. But before we get into the rest of today's show, I want to tell you about a brand new sponsor here on Steelers Talk, which is Courtyard. Head on over to courtyard.io and use code HMA at checkout for 15% off your order today. Courtyard is a digital app that you guys can download for free on your phone. And by the way, it's free to sign up as well. That lets collectors rip digital packs of real, authentically graded trading cards, all from the comfort from your phone. And you guys can see here the presentation is fantastic. I really like the glow effect when you guys are going to see here when the pack opens up. It's really cool and exciting, all that different stuff. And we're actually going to be giving away a card here on Steelers Talk this week, just like we did the previous 2 weeks. And we actually have a Troy Polamalu 2013 trading card, a PSA 9 mint Troy Polamalu card here that we're going to be just giving away for free on this channel here, guys. All you have to do to enter that giveaway is make a free Courtyard account, okay, and then put your username below the pinned comment on today's video. That's all you guys have to do. And with Courtyard, real-time odds are listed for each pack before you rip, so there's no loaded boxes or rigged breaks. There's also instant buyback, so you're never stuck with a card that you don't want. So head on over to courtyard.io and use my code HMA at checkout for 15% off your order today. And remember, comment your username to enter the giveaway for free. Again, that's below the pinned comment on today's show. The link is in the comments and description of today's show if you guys want to download the Courtyard app today. And a big thank you to Courtyard for sponsoring us here at Steelers Talk. So part 1 of this transitional plan that the Steelers are currently trying to pull off is that they want to lock up their stud young players for the long haul. We've already seen this with big extensions for Nick Herbig, Keanu Benton, Darnell Washington, etc. And they're really trying to lock up a lot of these younger players and really make them long-term pieces for this football team. And no, I don't expect Joey Porter Jr. to be going anywhere anytime soon. A trade is theoretically possible at this point, guys, especially if someone's going to offer the Steelers a first-round pick and Joey eventually requests a trade out of Pittsburgh. But listen, man, I think Joey wants to be here, and I think the Steelers want him to be here as well. Usually when that happens and both sides want the same thing, a deal ends up happening. So I think Joey eventually will get his money, and especially considering that, the 2027 cap space for this team, because of the extensions they've already signed, is already in the red. They're already in the red over $12.2 million for next season. If you add a massive contract extension that pays Joey Porter Jr. $30+ million per season, and if you believe the recent reporting, $33+ million per season, obviously that number is going to get quite bigger, and they're going to have to eventually let go of some of their veteran pieces in future off seasons. And it's probably going to start next off season, guys, where you're almost certainly going to be offloading Alex Highsmith, other guys like Jamel Dean, Jalen Ramsey, some other guys, could certainly be on the chopping block as well. Maybe Cam Heyward retires. That could help you out cap-wise as well. Michael Pittman Jr. on the offensive side of the ball could be a cap casualty if he doesn't live up to his wide receiver 2 status this year. So you're going to have to part ways with some veterans here probably next spring just to afford these younger players. And that's going to all start next year, and what's going to be a big transition for this team. And really this year, guys, is going to be a big test for a lot of these veterans to see which guys are still playing at a high level and deserve to stay on their high cap hits, and which players need to go. And so who needs to get cut, who needs to get traded, etc. And that's going to be a big part of the evaluation process with this new coaching staff here in Pittsburgh under new head coach Mike McCarthy. Now, part 2 of this developmental plan, this transitional plan, is to develop the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know a lot of people really like the idea of drafting a quarterback in round 1 next year, and that's a possibility. But, no matter what happens, because of Pittsburgh's cap status that we just broke down, it's probably going to be negative 50 plus million heading into next offseason, the 2027 QB1 of this team is likely going to have to come cheap. They can't afford to pay Baker Mayfield 40 plus, 50 plus million dollars a season when they're paying their defense as much as they are. Once again, it's going to have to be a cheap option at quarterback heading into 2027 and beyond. And right now, I think Drew Aller appears to be the team's plan A. Mike McCarthy has said himself publicly that they view Drew Aller as a first-round caliber physical talent. And, the thinking behind, drafting Aller and sitting him behind Aaron Rodgers this year is we can take a first-round caliber arm talent and just general talent at the quarterback position, put him in our system where he can actually get some high-level coaching, where he can get some great tutelage from an all-time legend in this game in Aaron Rodgers. And hopefully the combination of those two things can lead to a bona fide NFL starter by this time next season, which, by the way, only comes at a rookie contract of a third-round draft pick, which is extremely, extremely low. And you get that for the next 3 seasons at least. So far, I think that plan seems to be on track. Drew Aller has looked pretty good in the preseason games to this point. The footwork looks a lot better. The mental processing looks cleaner, all that different stuff. And by no means are we crowning, Drew Aller as the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point. But I do think the plan for the Steelers at this point is to go into next season with Drew Aller being their plan at QB1. But you might be saying at home, but Jack, what about Will Howard? And it's like, listen, I like Will Howard. I think that he could be a solid backup in this league someday. Good kid, all these different things. But at the end of the day, Pittsburgh invested more in Drew Aller, and Drew Aller has more upside than Will Howard brings to the table, whether it's the out-of-structure playmaking ability, whether it's the pocket presence, whether it's the arm talent and the different kinds of throws that Aller can pull off versus the throws that Will Howard can pull off, which it's a completely different catalog of different kinds of throws. And we've seen that in the preseason to this point. And I think the Steelers are going to go with the guy and give the first opportunity to the guy here that has more talent, that has more, superstar upside, as opposed to the guy that has less of those things. But with that said, I think Will could be a solid QB2 someday. And I'm in favor of keeping this guy on the practice squad, and kind of, preparing him to maybe be this team's future QB2 behind Drew Aller. And if Aller sucks next year, by all means, put Will Howard in the second half of next season and see if he's got it, right? But at this point, I do think Drew Aller is this team's plan at QB1 next season. Obviously, things can change a lot within the next 365 days. But at this current point, I do think the plan is to transition to a young starting quarterback that's very, very talented in Drew Aller, and Aaron Rodgers as that guy's mentor is a big part of that this season. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Should Will Howard get a roster spot this year? Type C if you would cut him, or type K if you would keep him. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Now, before we continue on with today's show, did you know that you can pick more or less on Drew Aller's regular season games played on the Prize Picks app this year? Well, it's true. You can do that, and I would recommend you guys take the less on that, because I think Aaron Rodgers obviously will be this team's starting quarterback. And Rodgers is very tough. He likes to play whenever he's physically capable of playing. And then in the situations where he's not, Mason Rudolph is probably going to be taking a lot of those opportunities. So listen, is it possible that there's a long-term Rodgers injury? Aller gets some opportunities. Maybe the team just stinks and Aller gets more opportunities than this heading into the end of the season. That's possible. I just think that right now, I think Rodgers is going to have a good year. I think he's going to stay relatively healthy, and I don't think we're going to see Drew Aller in the regular season all that much. I'm combining this with a season-long lineup here where I'm taking the more on passing touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers, the less, obviously, on games played in the regular season for Drew Aller, and then the less on receiving touchdowns for Philadelphia Eagles rookie receiver Mekhi Lemon. This particular projection is a 6x multiplier lineup. So on a $20 entry fee, you could walk away with $120 in winnings if you can get all 3 projections correct in what Prize Picks calls a power play. Best of all, Prize Picks just switched their offer. All you have to do is play your first $5 lineup with code HMA, and if you win that lineup, you get $150 in additional lineups. Because of this new offer, there's not a better time to join than right now, right before the start of football season. So lock in and win that first lineup today. One more time, that's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup on the Prize Picks app. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app today. As always, play responsibly, and a big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring us here at Steelers Talk. So listen, man, I get it. A lot of people would have just preferred Pittsburgh to fully embrace a rebuild this offseason after Mike Tomlin stepped down, hire a Chris Shula, hire a Nate Scheelhaas, hire a younger head coach, and just start over from scratch. Trade T.J. Watt, go with a younger quarterback this year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's certainly something the Steelers could have done, and I would have gotten behind that, guys. But it seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers want to go in a different direction here, where Pittsburgh is hoping that they can successfully keep this team competitive in the present. I mean, this is a team that has won 10 games and has made the playoffs in each of the last 3 seasons, while also setting the stage for the future, also locking up their long-term players, also developing a long-term quarterback, while having enough good players on the team right now to maybe compete for a Super Bowl if everything goes their way. So I think that this is a really good way to kind of thread that needle of win now versus preparing for the future. And I'm hoping, especially if Drew Aller can hit as this team's next franchise quarterback, that they're going to be successful in doing just that. And I actually prefer this strategy over a full rebuild, because sure, you could do a full rebuild and get some draft picks and all those different things, bring in a young head coach. But what happens if that young head coach sucks? What happens if you miss on a number of those early draft picks? Then you're stuck with just a bad football team, and you're stuck in the same situation the Jets are in, the Browns are in, the Lions were in for many years, where you're just trying to get out of not even mediocrity, but just being absolutely terrible. And I think a big reason why the Steelers have been as consistent as they've been as a franchise over the many seasons is because they don't rebuild. They don't completely shut things down. They try and win now, but they also do a good job balancing that with replenishing this roster with young talent. So I prefer this strategy of a transitional period as opposed to a full rebuild. And hopefully this team can pull off this kind of act where they're trying to, both try to win now in the present, but also win in the future. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will Pittsburgh pull this transition off without bottoming out? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section to let me know what you guys think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they're trying to prepare for the future at this point. And of course, make sure you guys click that subscribe button for more in-depth Steelers content. If you enjoyed today's show, that means you'll probably enjoy tomorrow's video, all right? Because we're providing this kind of in-depth Steelers content every single day, usually 2 videos a day. We have watch parties, live shows, bunch of great stuff for you guys to enjoy. So if you love the Steelers, you want content every day, this is the place where you get that. Click that subscribe button right now. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. No supers and no Venmos. So we're going to get right into this next segment here, guys, after I take a nice drink. All right. We got one more segment here to go before our Super Bowl Madden sim here, guys, where, of course, this week is the preseason finale as this team will travel to Highmark Stadium in Buffalo to take on the Bills. I've got some thoughts about which players need to have strong performances this week for a bevy of different reasons. So without further ado, let's get right into the show. Welcome into Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today on the show, I'm going to be breaking down my picks for 12 Steelers players that need a strong performance in Pittsburgh's preseason finale versus the Buffalo Bills here this week. Now, of course, we will be having a live watch party here on Steelers Talk, just like we do for every single Steelers game, for free for the members of Steelers Nation to enjoy. We will be starting our pregame coverage at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday night. It is a 7 p.m. Eastern Time kick. So we'll have 90 minutes of pregame. We'll have super chat raffles, live Q&A. So if you have any questions before, during, or after the game, I'm happy to answer those. We have live play-by-play and analysis of every single play of the game. And then, of course, we have post-game coverage as well. So if you guys want to join the largest Steelers watch parties anywhere here on YouTube throughout the course of the NFL season, this is where you guys can click that subscribe button to watch every single Steelers Talk watch party this year. All right, so now let's get into the players that are under the most pressure heading into this preseason finale. And the first player that we'll talk about here is Will Howard, who is coming off a game where the perception from a lot of people was that he was absolutely atrocious in preseason week 2. I think he played better than that. He showed some good things, had some good reps. I thought the interceptions were partly on him, but certainly not completely on him. And it does seem like Pittsburgh is going to keep roster all 4 quarterbacks this year. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel, that I disagree with that philosophy, that strategy, whatever you guys want to call it. And I think it's safer and better to just waive Will Howard and try to keep him on the practice squad, because I don't think anybody's going to pick him up on the waiver wire before he would be placed on the practice squad. But listen, man, if Howard struggles, they may think twice about rostering all 4 quarterbacks on this team, right? If Howard goes out there and throws another 2 picks, and maybe these picks are worse than the picks that he had last week, I mean, maybe Mike McCarthy is going to have to take a long look at the idea of keeping these 4 quarterbacks on the roster. So I don't know at this point when I'm filming this video, guys, who's going to start, who's going to be playing the second half, etc. But all I know is that if Will Howard struggles, he may not be making this roster. But then we get to Drew Aller, who isn't under as much pressure to make the team, obviously, because he's obviously going to get rostered. Okay, he's going to be this team's QB3 this year. He's going to be taking a lot of the scout team reps during the week in practices versus the Steelers' first-team defense. But I do think Aller is having a little bit of pressure put on him this week, because whether he starts or not, Aller, I think, is one more good performance away from really getting closer and closer to solidifying himself as this team's QB1 option for 2027. Now, obviously, guys, the evaluation doesn't end after this game. All right, like he's going to have a ton of time behind the scenes. Obviously, scout team reps, all these different things that are going to help make the Steelers make this decision of who's going to be their starting quarterback in 2027 and whether Aller they think will be ready for that opportunity next season. But listen, we've seen some throws from Drew Aller in this preseason, guys, where like a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft would be lucky to be able to pull some of those kinds of throws off, like the back foot, back shoulder we saw from last week versus the Jets, the crazy throw out of structure that we saw versus the Jets last week, the number of seam shots that we've seen from him. Like, I think Pittsburgh would be lucky to find a quarterback in round 1 next year that can make the throws that Drew Aller can, because we all know that Drew Aller was a first-round talent. Physically, it was just, could he find the right coach to develop the nuances at the position? And as I've been saying since the moment we've drafted this kid, he's in the perfect situation to get a franchise-level quarterback out of him. Here with Mike McCarthy, of course, coaching him as this team's head coach, and then Aaron Rodgers mentoring him as the veteran quarterback on this team. And by the way, guys, if you draft a round 1 rookie next year and you play him right away, guess what? He doesn't get the tutelage. He doesn't get the benefit of mentoring behind Aaron Rodgers for an entire season the way that Drew Aller gets the opportunity to this year. So the way that I see it, guys, is maybe Drew Aller won't end up being the long-term answer here in Pittsburgh. Maybe he ends up being a quote-unquote bust, even though 3rd-round pick. It's not a bust if it's not a first-round pick, in my opinion, at least not necessarily. But I think Pittsburgh is setting themselves out to find out what Drew Aller has next season as this team's QB1. And if they miss on him, they'll go into 2028 looking for another probably first-round quarterback to replace him. But right now, I think the plan is to sit and develop Aller in the hopes that he's going to be this team's starting quarterback in 2027. And remember, guys, Pittsburgh's QB1 next year has to be cheap because they're already in the red in terms of cap space for next season. And if they get a deal done with Joey Porter Jr., which I think is pretty likely, their cap situation is going to be even more in the red. So they don't have the money to go out and get a Baker Mayfield. They don't have the money to go out and get an expensive veteran quarterback on the open market. So it's got to be either a veteran on a cheap deal. We've done that. We've done that a ton of times here in Pittsburgh over the last several years. Hasn't worked out. You could play a round 1 rookie. That usually never works out well, especially for teams trying to win in the present. Or you could play a cheap young veteran like a Drew Aller, like a Will Howard, somebody like that. I think they'll go the cheap young veteran route, and they will go with the guy that they've developed in-house over the last year in Drew Aller. That's my prediction at this current point, guys. Obviously, that can change, but you give me your prediction down there in the comments section. Will Drew Aller be Pittsburgh's Week 1 starting quarterback next season? Give me a yes or no down there in the comments section. Share your take with me down there in the comments. I want to hear it. And while you're sharing that take, I want to tell you about our presenting sponsor here on Prize Picks, here on Steelers Talk, which is Prize Picks. And did you guys know that you guys can take the more or less in regular season games played when it comes to Drew Aller this year on the Prize Picks app? Well, you can, and I would recommend you take the less on that. It's currently set at 1.5 regular season games started. I'm going to take the less on that because, plain simply, guys, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a nice bounce-back season. I think he's going to have the best year that he's had in the last half decade. in his NFL career, and I think that he's going to stay mostly healthy this year. Maybe he misses a game or two, but Mason Rudolph, I think, is probably the short-term backup quarterback option here, so I don't think we're going to see Drew Aller get more than one start this year, and I'm combining that with a season-long lineup here where I'm taking the more on passing yards for Aaron Rodgers and the less on receiving touchdowns for Mekhi Lemon. This particular projection is a 6x multiplier lineup, so you can win 6 times your money in your entry fee if you can get all 3 of the projections correct in what Prize Picks calls a power play. So in that particular one, you win $120 on just a $20 entry fee. Best of all, though, guys, Prize Picks just switched their offer. All you have to do is play your first $5 lineup with code HMA, and if you win that lineup, you get $150 in additional lineups. Because of this new offer, there's not a better time to join than right now, right before the start of football season. So lock in and win that first lineup today. One more time, that's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app today. As always, play responsibly, and a big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring us here at Steelers Talk. Now, getting away from the quarterback position and other players that need to have strong performances in this preseason finale versus Buffalo, Broderick Jones, man, really, really rough start to the preseason. He's underweight, and you can definitely tell out there. He's off balance. You can tell that he hasn't had time to train in the offseason. And at this point, Broderick absolutely should not be a roster lock at this point, especially if the Steelers are planning on keeping and rostering 4 quarterbacks on the roster this year. Because, listen, I just don't know where Broderick Jones fits in terms of the 53-man roster this year. He's not a long-term option for this team because we have 2 other first-round picks in Max Ahanicher and Troy Fautanu who are going to be the future at those given positions. He's severely undersized right now, so not only is he looking rough at tackle, but he can't play guard either because he definitely can't handle the bull rush of big and strong starting caliber defensive tackles in this league. And then also this team already has 3 tackles. So they could go into the season with Troy Fautanu, Dylan Cook, and Max Ahanicher, and then also Spencer Anderson is a guy that's played some tackle in his career. Jennings Dunker has played some tackle in his football journey as well. If push comes to shove, you could still get one of these guys to kick outside, but I think those 3 guys at tackle would be fine, and you don't have to have Broderick Jones on this roster. However, if Broderick can play well in this game and really show out, maybe that changes. Maybe he plays so well that the Steelers think, hey, this guy's good enough to maybe we can keep him and he leaves somewhere else and we can get a comp pick for him next year. He hasn't played that well to this point in the preseason, but if he really balls out here in the preseason finale, maybe he can save himself a roster spot. But then we get to Caleb Johnson, who doesn't provide much on special teams, and Mike McCarthy has said if you're going to be a backup on this team, you got to provide something other than what you do at your position. And frankly, Caleb doesn't provide all that much at his current position at running back, all right? So I don't think that Pittsburgh carrying 4 running backs is a guarantee at this point. I could certainly see this team carry only 3 running backs because they've got some guys that have some versatility to play running back. You got Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, and then I think Travis Homer will be kept on this team as a special teams ace and as kind of a backup running back. And then the RB4 candidates would be Caleb Johnson and Lou Nichols. All right, I don't think Eli Heidenreich has any chance of making this team. I think that he will probably be a practice squad stash, but Johnson and Nichols, if they have a strong performance here in the third week of the preseason, maybe they could save themselves a roster spot. And if KJ wants to be that 4th quarterback, I think he definitely has to show out. This has to be the best preseason performance of his Steelers debut, which frankly isn't a super high bar to clear, but I think he has to clear it and then some. He has to look like he is absolutely indispensable out there. So definitely a high bar to clear. But certainly possible as well, given what he was at Iowa and what made him a 3rd-round pick just last year. Then, of course, Lou Nichols, who we just mentioned, is going to have a nice performance in this one and continue to be one of the best preseason performers at the running back position for the Steelers like we've seen the last 2 years. If he has a really good performance in this one, maybe he could sneak on the 53-man roster. Otherwise, I think more than likely he will end up on the practice squad. Then Spencer Anderson trying to solidify himself as this team's starting right guard. It seems like he is in the lead for that given position at this point, but Brock Hoffman is still technically in the mix. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I think Brock Hoffman has actually looked the best out of all the right guards to this point, at least the ones that have played in the first 2 games. I think Hoffman has played better than Spencer Anderson at this point at right guard. However, Anderson still appears to be the favorite here. He's getting the first team reps. He's gotten the first team reps really all throughout camp. So it does seem at this point Spencer Anderson is going to be this team's starting right guard. But who knows? Hoffman, with a really strong performance, could maybe steal that job away. Also, what if Jennings Dunker, who's going to be the future at this position moving forward, what if he balls out again? He didn't play last week, but he played in that first game against the Green Bay Packers, and he looked pretty damn good out there with the third team unit. Obviously, he's going up against guys that are going to be baristas here in a few weeks, but Jennings Dunker looked really good against that third and fourth team defense that the Packers threw out there. If he has another strong performance, is this something where, if Spencer Anderson, Brock Hoffman aren't playing super well during the year, could Jennings Dunker, even without an injury, move up into the starting lineup? I don't think it's completely impossible. But pick your starting right guard for me down there in the comment section. Type SA for Spencer Anderson, BH for Brock Hoffman, or GD for Jennings Dunker. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Then another position that is technically up for grabs, but is pretty much set in stone. Dylan Cook and Max Ehonicher at right tackle. Dylan Cook appears to be the option at right tackle for week 1. And the reason for that is Max has just missed a lot of time ever since the pads have gone on. I think he's only had 2 fully padded practices to this point in camp. And I just don't know if the Steelers are going to trust him to go out there week 1. And Cook needs to solidify himself at right tackle this week. I thought he played a lot better in week 2 of the preseason versus the Jets than he did in week 1 versus the Packers, where he gave up multiple pressures and he didn't. His anchor, frankly, looked terrible. But I think he's got an opportunity to really solidify himself with a good performance against Buffalo. And then, hey, Ehonicher needs to challenge and look promising. All right, this is going to be his only preseason action that we see of him this year. And, if he looks good, then that's going to put the pressure on Dylan Cook to perform well once we get in season, because if he doesn't, the first-round rookie out of Arizona State is going to be waiting in the wings. But then we get to a trio defensive tackles that I'll be watching in this game as well. Gabriel Rubio, Azesi Adamiwu, and then Dean Lowry. I think one of these 3 guys will get the final defensive lineman roster spot this year. And I was actually underwhelmed when I watched Gabriel Rubio on film last week versus the Jets guys. I thought week 1 he was awesome, but then in week 2 he was on the ground a lot, and that's not something that you want to see from your nose tackle, somebody that gets piled drive to the ground as much as he did. This was actually an issue with Y.A. Black last year, is that he would be on the ground too much, and the balance wouldn't be there. So I'm hoping to see that balance there. He's had a pretty darn strong camp. If he finishes his preseason with a really good performance against Buffalo, he's got a chance to make this team for sure. But then I also thought that Azesi Adamiwu, who made this team last year and was a pretty darn decent piece in passing down situations, looked really good last week as well. I thought that he was really getting after the quarterback, and he showed why he was a member of this defensive line rotation just last year. And he's not, planning on giving up that roster spot anytime soon. So definitely going to be an interesting battle to watch out for here, guys. But let me know down there in the comment section which Steelers player needs a good game this week the most. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. If I had to pick one player, I'm either picking Broderick Jones or Caleb Johnson. I know I just broke my own rules there. I picked 2 quarterback or two players there. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And, of course, after the game is over, I'll be doing my all-22 film study of Steelers versus Bills, and I'll be posting clips and giving my analysis of Drew Aller, Will Howard, and everything else that goes on that football field on Thursday night on my Twitter account at Jack_Sperry. So if you guys want all 22 analysis of this week's game and every single game the Steelers play this year, make sure you give me a follow at Jack_Sperry for the very latest surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Segments out of the way. Coming up next, Super Bowl 61, Steelers versus Rams. Ponzi is currently getting it loaded up. And just so you guys know, no, the Steelers do not make the Super Bowl in our Madden simulated season every year. In fact, this is the first time that they've done so. The last 2 years, the first 2 years that we've done this, the Steelers have lost in the first round of the playoffs. The same exact round where they lost in real life. All right, so I'm not saying that Madden is 100% correct and that this is for sure going to happen. But listen, man, they've been correct the first 2 times that we've done it. So, maybe a little bit of hope being brought to us courtesy of Madden here. But it should be fun. I'm saying there's a chance.
You're
here,
saying
Ponzi.
there's a chance.
So we got the Super Bowl in Los Angeles this year. Which, by the way, if the Steelers find a way to go to the Super Bowl, that would be an incredible story for Aaron Rodgers, specifically because he lives in Malibu. He lives in the LA area. So for him to go home to play his final ever NFL game, to win a championship and literally ride off into the sunset the way Peyton Manning did in Denver would be such a cool story. Is it likely? Personally, I don't think it's a likely scenario, but is it something that could feasibly happen if everything goes right for this Steelers team this year? Sure, absolutely. I do not know, my friend. Now, Ponzi's having some TV issues over here, guys. So if you have questions, feel free to send in your super chats. And I'll actually answer some questions here, even though they won't be up on screen. Let's see. Bernard says, oh, never mind. Inventory Kid says, would you trade Joey Porter Jr. for Jameson Williams and a second? Oh, man. It's a great question. Honestly, I would. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I would. Second round pick, that's still a pick that you expect to, get a starter out of in the future. And then Jameson Williams, I know he's kind of a knucklehead, but like he is dynamic. He is so electric, and like he can fit that quote unquote Roman Wilson role even better than Roman can. Like if Detroit's offering me J-Mo in a second, I'm taking that deal for Joey Porter Jr. But that's just me. I don't think Detroit would offer that. Jameson Williams is an awesome young wide receiver. One of the most electric downfield playmakers in the entire league. One of the fastest wide receivers in football. Yep. All right, Ponzi fixed it for us here. And then another 5 coming in from Clarence Moore. So, Sperry, you're hitting the head on the nail. The eye test shows you this kid that has the it factor with the ball. He is special. I'm hoping Drew Aller can be special. Obviously, I won't believe it until I see it in a regular season game, and I see it consistently in regular season games. But, like, based on the things that we have seen to this point in the preseason are encouraging. The footwork looks a lot better. The mental processing looks a lot better. The accuracy to all 3 levels of the field looks a lot better. Okay, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse and say, let's build the statue of Drew Aller already. In fact, the Steelers don't have statues, right? They don't have a statue for a quarterback ever. So, they would have to, like, Drew Aller would have to win like 5 Super Bowls for this team, which, by the way, sign me up for 5 Super Bowls with Drew Aller. But, like,
hey, man,
let's not crown him just yet, guys, all right? Like,
there's only one Super Bowl I'm focused on right now.
And that's the Madden Super Bowl. So
let's get it.
So let's get it going here, guys. The Steelers will get the ball first in L.A.
Type those PITs if you want the Steelers to win the Super Bowl.
As they take on the Los Angeles Rams at their home stadium, trying to win a second home stadium Super Bowl in the last, what's it? Is it a half decade now?
And the funny thing, yeah, it would be, is they're playing against another AFC North team.
That's true. Kicks away. It's going to be fielded. And, oh, my gosh, Caden Weegan got blown up at the 20. And that is where Aaron Rodgers, the now 43-year-old quarterback in this Madden simulation, takes the field for the final time in his NFL career. This will be his final NFL game, according to him, no matter how it splits. But if you ask me, Ponzi, if this becomes real and the Steelers go to the Super Bowl and they're that close –
and they end up losing?
And they lose, and Cam Heyward's like, hey, man, we're still good. We're a Super Bowl caliber team. Come back for one more year. I don't know if Rodgers would say no. Under center, I formation. Handoff to start. This is Jalen Warren, who will get a 3-yard gain to kick off Super Bowl 61.
By the way, if you want our last rodeo T-shirts, they're now available.
That's right. The last rodeo T-shirts now available. Chatsports.com/rodeo. If you want Aaron Rodgers to take this team to the Super Bowl, we need 50 purchases of these shirts. I'm just kidding. A play action here, and now Rodgers will throw to the flat. Not even close. He must have the jitters. Hasn't played in the Super Bowl in over a decade and a half. Yeah. Or is it? Yeah, it's over a decade and a half at this point.
Let's see. How old was I when he was? I was I think I was 6.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. Shotgun here, trips right for Rodgers on 3rd and 7, the first 3rd and long of the day. This is Myles Garrett territory here, and now he's going to get sacked, not by Myles Garrett, but by Kobe Turner.
For those of you wondering, Aaron Donald not on the roster.
Aaron Donald not on the roster, so we're going to say if he comes back, he's injured for this game.
No resims.
No resims. All right, 3 and out for the Steelers to start this year's Super Bowl. They're going to punt it away. It's going to be fielded at the 26, room to run, and now good tackle here by the Steelers special teams unit. That's where Matthew Stafford, last year's MVP, will take the field.
Now, Sperry, I don't know how much of you played of the new Madden. It is very hard to stop this Rams offense. They are unstoppable.
Oh, I believe it. Well, you got Stafford, who's unbelievable with the arm talent. Then you got 2 crazy good receivers.
99 overall.
99.
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, he's a 99 overall, and he can't move. So much for Aaron Rodgers can't move, therefore he can't be a good NFL quarterback. Under center, Stafford, handoff, and now a nice chase down tackle from Brandon Eccles for a gain of 2.
Now, if there's anything that's a weakness to this Rams team, it's their offensive line. And they still have a pretty decent one, but the Steelers should be able to.
Yeah, I mean,
win.
if there's any team that could get after them, I mean,
Yeah.
the Steelers with their pass rush could do some damage here. 2 X factors and a superstar on the D line. Shotgun here, trips left for Stafford. He will go play action. Now throw over the middle quickly. It's going to be caught for a first down. I believe that's Puka Nacua, his first catch of Super Bowl 61. And Stafford on his back. Oh, no. Is he going to get up?
He does.
He does.
Man, it's almost like we know the animations that are happening.
Under center here, condensed formation. Going to be taking the snap. 5-step drop. Steps up. Now throws down the field. Stafford, incomplete. Good coverage. Looked like he tried to go to, I don't even know who that was there, but incomplete. Good coverage by the Steelers. 2nd down and 10.
Could use a turnover right here.
Yeah, turnover would be great. Shotgun here. Got Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers' buddy, in the slot. They're going to go quickly to him, and good coverage by the Steelers. It's a fumble, and they pick it up, and they're running with it. Oh, my goodness, the Steelers have the ball. In Rams territory, Alex Highsmith with the recovery. Matthew Stafford threw it backwards. Good coverage by the Steelers, forced an incompletion, or drop ball, drop fumble technically. And the Steelers pick it up, and they have the ball in Rams territory. They got to take advantage of this. They got to take advantage of this, guys. There's Chris Shula, the guy a lot of Steelers fans wanted to hire as head coach, going up against the guy that actually did get hired as the head coach, Mike McCarthy. I mean, this game would have storylines out the wazoo, Ponce.
Yeah, they would.
We played the Rams in the Super Bowl. Like, the amount of storylines in this game would be crazy.
And the thing is, Rodgers was almost a Ram.
He was almost a Ram. Just ask Sean McVay. Shotgun here. Bunch formation out to the left. They'll go draw play here, and Dowdle's not going anywhere. It's a low snap, and Poona Ford, their nose tackle, brings them down for a loss of 3. George Pickens is accusing you of spoiler alerting it, or spoilering it.
I just said we could use a turnover. I have my wife do these sims now. I don't even know what happens.
Shotgun here. Doubles left. Wing formation out to the right. Takes the snap. Rodgers. Clean pocket. Now throws off his back foot and way overshoots his receiver. Incomplete. Tried to go to Metcalf. It'll be 3rd and 13.
You want to take advantage of this, man.
Yeah, right now you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to get at least close to the first down marker to even try a field goal. So big play here for Rodgers in shotgun. Got a bunch out to the left. Takes the snap. Now he's rolling out immediately, and he's going to get sacked. What is he doing? Is he that scared of Myles Garrett? I mean, fair enough. Myles is crazy, but it's not like he's gotten like crazy early wins on Troy Fautano in this game. Another quick 3 and out for the Steelers offensively, and I don't like the way the offense is working early on in this game, Ponzi.
Yeah, especially after the turnover. They're just come out flaccid.
The kick is away. And Johnson will put this in the end zone, touchback. Rams will take over at the 20. So Steelers could not take advantage of recovering that backwards lateral fumble from Matthew Stafford.
Weird play. Weird start to this one.
Under center. 2-by-2 formation. Now they send a man in motion. It'll be handoff to Kyron Williams, and he will only pick up 3. Steelers prevent the successful first down run. Now Ramsey at free safety, shotgun with bunch formation. Out to the right for Stafford. He'll send a man in motion. Takes the snap. Steelers send a blitz, and they're going to get to him! Jaquan Brisker, the Pittsburgh native, brings down Matthew Stafford, and it'll be 3rd and very long defensive battle here in the first quarter of Super Bowl 61. Let's go, man. Let's get these Jits off the field. 3rd and 17. Type those PITs or stops down there. Type those 3s as well. Shotgun for Stafford. Takes the snap, looking, dumping it off screen. Got blockers in front. Oh my gosh, Kyron Williams just absolutely decked Brandon Echols, but there will be a rally tackle. 4th down coming up.
Goblin Mike McCarthy loves it.
Yeah, the Goblin himself. See, like he likes the goblin it up in real life. Nom nom nom.
Oh my god.
But then he's like an actual goblin in Madden. Kick is away. It's going to be fair caught at the 31.
You're on one today, Sperry.
Dude, seeing Mike McCarthy in person, it's like upper half, big.
I mean, he's a big boy.
Lower half, not really that big. It's got kind of like chicken legs.
Got to go to the weight room.
It's like, don't want to say this, but it's like, I don't know how those legs support himself sometimes.
Oh my god.
Under center here, condensed formation for Rodgers. Let's see if the Steelers offense can get something going here. Handoff to Dowdle, who's been awesome in these playoffs, and he'll pick up a solid gain of 8.
Yeah, how Rico Dowdle is a superstar. Like, we'll take it, but like,
we'll
still.
take it, but like, I don't know.
George Pickett's 44 asking if this year's Madden's good. It's good. I think it's definitely better than last year's, which is not saying much.
Now under center for Rodgers. 13 personnel. He'll do a 7-step drop from 13, and he's going to drop it right in the bucket for Washington, who just drops it. Would have been a first down. Instead, it'll be 3rd down and short coming up.
CPUs are still impossible on all Madden. They will have like a 95% completion rate.
I believe it. Shotgun here. 3 receivers set. Rodgers in shotgun. They'll send a man in motion. They could still run out of this formation and pick it up. They're going to put it in Rodgers' hands. Pressure, and he can't get it away. Another sack for Kobe Turner.
Bro.
And that'll be the 3rd straight 3-and-out for the Steelers offense to start this game.
Not ideal.
This certainly appears to be a game where if the Steelers are going to win a championship, it'll be their defense that provides it for them.
Hey, man, that's how you said that they're going to win a Super Bowl this year if they get there.
That's true. If the Steelers win a Super Bowl this year, it'll be because of their defense. Offense can contribute, but it'll be because of the defense. Kicks away. It's going to be fielded and taken to the 18-yard line. Good tackle. Good coverage there by the Steelers. Long field coming up for the Rams.
Ladome, that's wild. So McCarthy will tip over if we toss the Gatorade on him. Jesus. Defense hasn't been playing that bad. Not at all.
Under center here is Stafford. Bunch out to the left. They will go play action. Quick throw to the flat. Caught. And a good tackle by Joey Porter Jr. Guess he got paid.
If he doesn't get paid, we're not receiving some of the season if he gets traded. No reduce.
No redos. This is our last Madden sim of the offseason. Every live show from now on will be solely regular season focused. Now, Steelers showing a really weird formation here. Shotgun for Stafford on 2nd down and 5. Takes the snap, hands it off, and good run defense here by Pittsburgh. Linebackers rallying to the football. 3rd down and 7 coming up.
Now, I did add Malik Harrison. I don't know if he's going to be in the rotation at all in this because
he's getting cut.
Yeah.
Because you bring in a Landon Roberts, and he's just a better version.
Oh, that's what I meant. I meant Landon Roberts.
Oh,
okay.
I
added him on the roster, but...
Shotgun here for Stafford, 3rd and 7. Good opportunity to get off the field again for Pittsburgh. Takes the snap. Stafford pressure getting to him, and he's going to be sacked again. Brandon Eccles off the slot. Gets the 2nd sack of the day for Pittsburgh, and the defense continues their strong day. Let's go. Defense came to play.
All right, Rodgers, time to wake up, buddy.
It's time to get up from the nap, old man. This is your last game. Empty the tank, Rodgers. Empty the tank. Kicks away. Fielded at the 40. Taken to the 50.
All right, don't like jumping up and celebrating Pittman there. We saw what happened to Dre Greenlaw. No extraordinary movements. Just walk on the field, please.
All right, Steelers taking over with good field position again here. Chance to take the first lead of this game. Starting at midfield, shotgun Rodgers. 12 personnel that are going to send Muth in motion. Takes the snap, hands it off to Dowdle. The run game's been the best part of this offense to this point, but they only get 3 here.
Spare, I got to ask you. What do you think the RB split is actually going to be this season?
Pretty close to 50-50 between Warren and Dowdle. Maybe Warren gets 55, Dowdle gets 45. Like they're going to want to try and keep both these guys fresh. Shotgun here, 3 receiver set. False start. Defense. No. Wait, what? They pointed in the wrong direction, but
that's FEA right there.
False start on the Steelers. So it'll be 2nd down and 12 after a 3-yard gain on 1st and a false start penalty. Shotgun, condensed formation, 2-by-2. Rodgers will take the snap, and he's going to look quick. He's going to throw. It's caught on the mesh route, and he will gain pretty much the yardage that they lost.
They have not picked up a single first down
It'll be
yet.
3rd down and 8, and it's looking like this is going to be, once again, a drive without a first down for Pittsburgh's offense.
Rodgers, wake up, buddy.
Shotgun takes the snap. Rodgers stepping up. Nothing there. Rolling to his right. Is he going to run? Is he going to pick up the first down? He does. The 43-year-old slides down at the 34. And for the first time in this game, 1st and Pittsburgh. Let's go. First and 10, under center now for Rodgers. Condensed formation. Condensed bunch out to the left. Takes the snap. Play action rollout to the left. Gets it to the flat to DK, and you'll pick up 6. Successful first down play. I would say the Steelers are in Chris Boswell field goal range. So they are in position to take the first lead here in this Super Bowl matchup. Shotgun trips right. Rodgers from the Rams 28. We'll send a tight end in motion in an orbit motion. Going to throw a quick screen out to Metcalf. He'll make one man miss. Absolutely juked him out of his shoes. Gets down to the 15-yard line. First down Steelers as they enter the red zone for the first time tonight. Still got 250 people watching live around the world. Thank you guys so much for joining us here for Steelers Talk Live. Under center, 2-by-2 formation condensed for Rodgers. He will hand it off to Dowdle. He's got a room up the middle. Can he make a man miss? He does! Touchdown, Steelers! Rico Dowdle with the first score of the day, and the Steelers take the lead and strike first in Super Bowl 61. Let's go, man. Rico freaking Dowdle. And that's a good way to start it against the presumptive Super Bowl champions. The
Myles Garrett getting into it.
Yeah, Myles Garrett and Sean McVay getting into it in the Super Bowl. He's done nothing so far. Myles Garrett, man, he's like, Sean McVay goes up to him and he's like, man, we traded all that for you. You haven't done jack shit.
He doesn't do anything against
Troy
the
Fautano
Steelers.
is shutting Myles Garrett down in this Super Bowl.
We are talking about the guy who got bitched by Dylan Cook last year.
Yeah, he did get bitched by Dylan Cook. Maybe Dylan Cook's the one out there. Who knows?
Who knows?
By the way, guys, we'll be live next on Thursday night, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time for our live watch party. Hour and a half of pregame coverage, followed by live play-by-play and analysis. Make sure you guys join us for every single live watch party this year. Kicks away. It's going to be fielded and taken to the 23-yard line. Rams have 3 minutes and 54 seconds, plenty of time to respond to the Steelers' first touchdown of the game. So far, Steelers up in the Super Bowl versus the Rams, 7-0. This would be a crazy playoff run if they won it, Ponzi.
Yeah.
This would be crazy. Under center, trips left, going to send Devontae in motion. Form a 2-by-1 formation. Now they send the other guy in motion here. From under center, Stafford will hand it off to Kyron Williams, and Cam Heyward's there to stymie that. Short gain. Steelers run defense. Definitely been pretty good on first down in this one. 2nd down and 7 coming up. This wouldn't be a Madden sim if Dave A wasn't saying we should have redone the Broncos game.
I see it, Dave A.
Under center, handoff to Kyron Williams, and he will pick up a first down as Keeanu Benton will eventually bring him down at the 36. So the Rams have something cooking, but the clock continues to tick. Under center for Stafford. Takes a snap. Hands off. Kyron Williams, he's got room to run, and there he goes. He's in the clear. He's going to be gone. Touchdown, Rams. Huge play for Kyron Williams. And they respond with a touchdown of their own here. We're an extra point away from a tie game. Jason Steele with an interesting point here. He says he thinks an AFC North team will pick up Will Howard, and the Ravens will immediately know everything that we're doing. I don't know about that. I think maybe Howard can certainly provide some insights in terms of if they line up in this formation, they might be running this or they might be running this. But, like, it's not like Will Howard is going to be able to, like, be on a team's practice squad this year and be like, oh, yeah, they're running this play right now. And then they just, like, audible to something that beats that that beats that concept. Like, that's not. Like, he can provide insight, but, like, would he provide and maybe even a little bit of a competitive advantage? Sure. But, like, is that worth keeping him on the active roster this year? Like, you could make this argument for any quarterback, any team cuts ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if this is necessarily something that, should give Will Howard a 4th quarterback spot in this roster. But a nice return here for Pittsburgh. They're going to have the ball, once again, with pretty decent field position. They're going to have plenty of time. Remember, the Rams get the ball to start the second half. So it'd be nice for the Steelers to get some points on the board here because they might not get the ball again for a while.
Yeah. Good point.
Steel Buckeye says Will Howard's not going anywhere. I hope not. I hope he stays here in Pittsburgh. I just think, probably as a practice squad player probably makes the most sense. That's just my opinion, but.
Did you just see that play?
Yep. Terrible run. Loss of 1. Just ran right into Max Ahanichur. Rookie out of Arizona State. Now shotgun for Rodgers. Trips left, takes the snap. Deep drop. Now he'll throw towards the sideline. It's going to be caught in the flat by Bernard, and he will put it at the 46-yard line. So Steelers approaching midfield. Clock stops right before the 2-minute warning. It'll be 3rd down and 3 coming up. Third down and 3. Big play here. By the way, they got down to the 2-minute warning. Takes the snap. Rodgers looking, pressure getting in. Now he throws over the middle. Good job by Rodgers to get to his check down and move the chains. Rico Dowdle, yet again. I mean, right at this point, man, you got to give Rico Dowdle the Super Bowl MVP. You know, obviously we got a lot of game left.
Hey, got a lot of game left, Mary.
A lot of game left, but like Rico Dowdle has been pretty good. Shotgun here for Rodgers. Takes the snap. Throws over the middle and not even close. Jason Steele says, let's see Drew Aller in a big game. Oh, yeah, that's right. We already have. He loses in every Big Ten conference game like Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Keep naming them. He loses every big game. Well, Penn State lost every big game. And as I think James Franklin was terrible as a head coach. And I think if Drew Aller was on that Ohio State team, they probably win the national championship, guys. Like if he had Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate, he had Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins to hand it off to.
Yeah,
he had how many first-round picks on defense? I'm pretty sure Drew Aller would probably win a few big games. I'm pretty sure he probably would have won he would have won the national championship that year, guys. That's just me. And if Will Howard was playing for those Penn State teams, sorry, man, I don't know if they're in some of those games that Drew Aller got that team into, like the Oregon game and the Big Ten championship game. They're not in that game without Aller. Multiple other games as well.
I'll do you one better, Sperry. They go undefeated easily. Ohio State, because they didn't even win the Big Ten.
Like
they lost to Michigan.
Like Drew Aller got Ryan Day as his head coach at Ohio State. Like something tells me he would have been a first-round pick.
Beautiful punt by Cameron Johnson.
Great punt by Johnson to get them down at the 7. That's just my take on it. Like the thing about college football, guys, is that you can't necessarily take team success and say, oh, that's because of the quarterback. Like people did that with J.J. McCarthy. We all know how J.J. looks. People did that with Tim Tebow. He got drafted in the first fucking round. We all saw how that looked in the NFL. And obviously Tebow beat us in a playoff game somehow, but he was a terrible NFL quarterback. A.J. McCarron was a terrible NFL quarterback, national champion. Mac Jones is a backup, national champion, right? If you win a national championship on a stacked college football roster, that does not guarantee you're going to be good in big moments in the NFL. Not by any standard. Tua Tagovailoa had one of the most clutch performances in the history of college football, coming off the bench cold for Jalen Hurts in a national championship game and led a comeback in the second half of that game versus Georgia. But are we saying he's a great, clutch performer? No. Shotgun for Stafford, looking quick, caught by Devontae Adams for a gain of 8. And by the way, none of this is necessarily anti-Will Howard, but the idea that Drew Aller won't ever be able to win a big game in the NFL because he didn't have enough help around him, he had terrible coaching at Penn State. I just think that's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, there's
Patrick Mahomes had a less than 500 record in college.
I was literally about to say that, Spare. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Josh Allen lost a ton of games in college.
Patrick Mahomes was one of the worst quarterbacks in recent Texas Tech history in terms of record. And that's a stat.
And by the way, we're not saying Drew Aller's going to be Mahomes around. We're just saying that there's examples out there of guys that went to terrible college programs with bad coaching.
Hey, careful about Tech.
And they didn't win big games.
Don't disrespect my beloved.
I think people judging Aller's ability to perform in big games, it's too premature. It's too premature.
Back from half here.
Back from half. 7-7 is the score in Super Bowl 61, or at least our fake one.
Should do next year.
What's that?
Do a Madden rebuild instead of Mad Sims.
Yeah, maybe. Kicks away. It's going to be fielded and returned to the 20. So here comes Matthew Stafford to start the second half. Defensive ball game so far, 7-7. Frankly, all the playoff games in these Madden Sims in the playoffs have been like, what, 13-10, 10-7.
Yeah.
Defensive games. Like, this Steelers defense is having a legendary run of performances in this playoff run simulated by Madden.
The offense has been something.
Not great, but good enough, I guess. Under center here for Stafford, condensed. Play action, roll it to the left, quick throw to the flat, and this is going to be a nice little outlet for a gain of 15 yards, first down. Steel Buckeye says it's too soon to judge Aller or Will. That's somewhat true for sure. It is, because they haven't played in regular season games. But, like, you can judge the arm talent. You can judge, the upside with these guys to some degree. And I think that's what the Steelers are kind of going on right now, which is why I think Aller would get that first crack at a starting opportunity. And then, hey, if Aller sucks and Howard's his backup, like, say, let's say the Steelers go into next season with Drew Aller and Will Howard as their two quarterback options. They're going to start the season with Drew Aller as their starter, and if Aller is just sucking and the team is terrible and the offense can't move the ball, then they're eventually going to go to Howard and give him a shot at the end of next season. So, and maybe that's when Will really thrives. Who knows? I have an open mind to that. Quick throw here from Stafford on second down. He'll pick up a solid gain. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Takes a snap, quick throw over the middle, and it's going to be Devontae Adams picking up a first down for the Rams. Rodney says, with the Aller and Will conversation, I may be missing one here, but was the last good quarterback to come out of the Big Ten aside from Drew Brees and Tom Brady?
Big Ten?
The Big Ten.
Herbert?
Herbert, he was technically Pac-12 at the time.
That's true.
It's actually a good question. Takes a snap here, Stafford looking, throws over the middle and the seam, and good coverage by Peyton Wilson, breaks it up, 2nd down and 10. You could argue C.J. Stroud, but, like, I don't think he's necessarily, like, good. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so this does work.
Also, Big Ben wasn't a Big Ten guy. He went to Miami of Ohio.
Unless we're missing something.
Shotgun here for Stafford on 2nd down and 10. 3 receiver set. He'll send Kyron Williams in motion. Takes the snap. Quick throw out to the sideline. Puka Nacua with the catch. It'll be 3rd down and inches.
Harry Cheeks with the super here. I don't know why people are anti-Will or anti-Drew. Like, why can't people just pray and hope at least one of these guys turns into our franchise QB?
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. I genuinely am cheering for both of them.
I forgot we had this graphic.
Like, if one of these guys ends up being the franchise quarterback, who cares? Like, at this point, like, you gotta be cheering for both of them, and I am. Like, if you've been watching the watch parties, man, we're cheering for both these guys, because if these guys can develop into what they're capable of, I mean, that's good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the future.
Also, greatest super chat name ever. Harry Cheeks, you will always be number 1.
Yes, sir. Quick little snap here, 3-step drop. Now throws. Stafford caught. Puka Nacua breaks a tackle, and Jalen Ramsey saves a touchdown, bringing him down at the 20. But the Rams are driving
on a 4th down.
Dude, it's actually a really good point that the Big Ten is, like, not producing any big name quarterbacks. Like, I'm looking through all of them right now, and every single one is, like,
bad.
Not from the Big Ten. And now a quick toss to the right. It's going to be Kyron Williams gets the edge, runs over a man, flag on the play. This could be holding on Los Angeles. Let's see. It is holding.
Offense.
I think that they've got the directions wrong here. It is on Higbee.
Referee.
So it'll be 1st down and 20.
Yeah. All right. Who you got?
Dude, there's literally 0 starting quarterbacks.
Hey, Justin Fields and J.J. McCarthy are just waiting to break out.
Shotgun here.
Not even.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy and Justin Fields. Takes the snap from the 30-yard line. Stafford throws quickly to the flat. It's going to be intercepted. Huge interception from Joey Porter Jr. Worth every bit of that record-setting contract. Let's go. Give me that. Give me the INTs in the chat. Huge interception with the Rams driving. The Steelers stop that drive. No points allowed. It's still a tie ball game in the second half of a Super Bowl. Now let's see if Rodgers can go get himself a lead. All right, after the Joey Porter Jr. interception, see what the Steelers can do. They'll start this drive at the 28-yard line, right by the Super Bowl logo, under center. Condensed formation, takes the snap, hands it off to Dowdle. And he's going to pick up a solid gain of 5. Successful run on first. Who else but Rico Dowdle? Another $10 here from Cheeks. Says, I'm not saying y'all were anti either one. Trust me, I've been watching all of them. But I'm saying all these quote-unquote fans on social media and in the comment section who are anti-Drew or Will. Yeah, man, I'm just... This is why I hate quarterback competitions, by the way, because it divides fans who are supposed to be cheering for the same players of the same team. Handoff here to Dowdle. He's going to make another man miss. Past midfield. Gets down to the 46-yard line. Rico Dowdle. Give him the Super Bowl MVP trophy, baby. That's if we win. But a big shout out there to Cheeks. I completely agree, man. Like, if either one of these guys turns into the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, every Steelers fan should be happy about that. Nobody should be bitter because, quote-unquote, their guy didn't get the chance or whatever. Rodgers throws short, caught by Pat Freiermuth, and it's going to be a gain of 7, so another positive gain on first for Pittsburgh. Under center. Condensed formation 2-by-2. From the 40. 2nd down and 3. Handoff Dowdle. Not much there for him. He'll lose a yard. 3rd down and 4. Big play coming up. I think the Steelers could maybe potentially try a field goal with Chris Boswell from this distance, but it would be a tough make.
It would be a tough one. To get 2 turnovers, you're winning the turnover battle pretty easily. And not get points out of either one would be kind of disappointing, Steelers.
Shotgun here for Rodgers. Takes the snap. He's looking. Now he's going to roll out to the right. He's looking. He's going to pick up another first down with his legs, and he's going to take a shot. Why not? This is the final game ever for Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't care how sore he is in the morning. Picks up a first down to the 25-yard line and lowers the shoulder. First down, Steelers.
I think he took a perk at halftime.
Shotgun here for Rodgers. Sends Pittman in motion. Double play action, and now there's pressure on him immediately. Braden Fisk with the sack. 2nd down and 16.
Is he that skinny?
No, it's just apparently Madden doesn't believe in big people.
But, like, everyone else is big on the defensive line. Like,
he is undersized for a defensive line.
Yeah, but, like, he's not that built.
Yeah.
He looks like John Cena back there.
Shotgun here for Rodgers. 3-by-1 formation, condensed. Takes the snap. Got a clean pocket. Throws underneath. Defenders there. It's going to be no gain at all. 3rd and 16. Looks like it was incomplete. So you are in Chris Boswell field goal range here. So just don't turn the football over here. Don't do what Stafford did. Don't take a massive sack. Don't turn the ball over. Shotgun here for Rodgers. They might even just hand this off to Dowdle and see what happens. Nope, they're going to throw it. Clean pocket, steps up, now throws, open receiver, caught Metcalf, and he will pick up a decent gain to the 20-yard line. It'll be 4th down and 5. If I'm the Steelers and the defense is playing this well, I'm taking the points.
Yeah, for sure. Harry Cheeks with another 5, also possibly a hot take. I say cut SGT and start YA at nose tackle.
It's SJT for Sebastian Joseph Day.
Yeah.
Boswell puts the kick up, and it's good. The Steelers take a lead in the 4th quarter of a Super Bowl.
Jesus.
10-7, Steelers lead with 6.5 minutes left to go in the career of Aaron Rodgers.
With Rubio.
With a lead in the fucking Super Bowl. When it comes to this question here from Cheeks, or this take, I disagree, specifically because Sebastian Joseph Day can play more than just nose tackle. Like, he can play 3 technique. He can play everything from nose to 5 technique. He's done it all in his career. So I like that versatility, and there's going to be injuries, and you need a Swiss Army knife like that. So I don't think they cut Sebastian Joseph Day. They signed him for a reason. His versatility, I think, is valuable. But that doesn't mean that Y.A. Black and Gabriel Rubio can't still be on this team as well. So I don't think they have to cut SJD to keep Rubio on the team. All right, 1st down and 10 for the Rams, down 3 with about 6.5 minutes left to go. Under center, play action. Stafford throws quickly, and once again, the Steelers are there to rally and tackle. Only a gain of 1. I think part of Stafford's problem in this game, Ponzi, is he's getting the ball out of his hands like really quickly and underneath. Like, he's playing the game like Aaron Rodgers played the game last year. Only he's made a bigger mistake than Rodgers, apparently, on that interception. Shotgun here. Bunch formation at the top of your screen to the right. Now he sends Devontae in motion. Takes a snap. Stafford, clean pocket, throws the quick out route to Nakua. It's caught for a 1st down. Joey Porter Jr. beat in coverage. Actually, no, that's not Nakua. That is the backup tight end for them.
Who's that?
And it'll be 1st down, LA. Steel Buckeye says, yeah, get rid of Mason. I think everyone agrees. Everyone except for the Steelers.
Nope.
Shotgun here, not trips, 3 receiver set. Now Cam Heyward blows up this run, just pushes Kyron Williams to the turf. It's a loss of 3. 2nd down and 13. Cam Heyward with a big-time TFL in his only Super Bowl appearance of his career. Open, caught, 1st down, and once again, it's this backup tight end, or whoever this is.
Who is this? Whittington. Oh, Jordan Whittington.
Jordan Whittington.
The Texas legend.
With 2 catches.
All he does...
By the way, he's not a tight end. He's a receiver. Shotgun here, but Whittington coming up big in the 4th quarter of a Super Bowl. Now at midfield, takes the snap. Stafford looking. Got a clean pocket, but it's running out of time. He throws it to the flat as check down. Higbee will catch it for a gain of 3.
The thing with Whittington in college, Sperry, was that he was really good in clutch moments. That was all he was good for. Get those stops in the chat.
Shotgun here. Takes the snap for Stafford. He's going to throw over the middle, and it's going to be short and caught and immediately tackled. Once again, this Steelers defense is rallying and tackling extremely well in this game. 3rd down and 3. Jason Steele says Will only has only played 3 quarters in this league in the preseason. Mason, we've seen and has had his chance to shine. Yeah, and he's played well as a backup in this league. He's an established good backup in this league, and Will Howard's done nothing. So that's exactly why they're going to go with Mason as the QB2. Quick throw underneath. It's going to be caught for a 1st down. And it's like, you know, if Rodgers goes down with an injury that's going to keep him out for a week or 2, like, who would you rather trust? The established good backup that you know can win games with a solid supporting cast, or the guy that's got 3 quarters of preseason experience? Like, you're probably going to want Mason in a win now season. Now, if it's a long-term situation, I do think they go to probably Aller first and then maybe Howard. But then a nice little run here from Kyron Williams. He'll pick up 8 yards, 2nd down and 2. But, like, short-term injury, I feel like Mason definitely gives this team the best chance to stay afloat for that short period of time. And you can only give scout team reps to 1 quarterback, guys. So if you have 2 younger quarterbacks you're trying to develop, like, one of those guys is not going to be getting team reps in practice. So that's why developing 2 quarterbacks at the same time doesn't work, really. Quick toss play. It's going to be just short of the sticks. It'll be 3rd down and inches.
2-minute warning. Rams driving.
2-minute warning, and the Rams are driving. Can the Steelers defense secure a ring for their buddy Aaron Rodgers? Handoff Williams. Does he get there? Yes, he does. How? He was so far behind the line to gain. How do you give him the first down there?
Can't challenge it either.
Steelers not calling timeouts.
I think they're scared.
I would be calling timeouts because if they kick a field goal here, you got to go down the field and get a field goal of your own. Under center, Stafford, handoff. Williams runs over a man, picks up 8. Oh no, the Steelers' run defense is coming back to bite us. Williams had the long, explosive touchdown run earlier in the game.
Both teams not calling timeouts, which is crazy.
Neither team is calling a timeout, which Mike McCarthy is botching this game right now. F. Ponzi for the lack of IQ in this game.
Hey.
I formation, handoff Williams. Does he get there? Picks up another first down. Clock continues to tick. Can the Steelers hold on? They're up 3 with 60 seconds to go to a 7th Lombardi trophy, and Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers winning another title with Rodgers walking off into the sunset. First down and 10. Under center, Stafford takes the snap. Pressure. Ramsey sack off the edge. Timeout Rams. 2nd and 17. 46 seconds to go. Type sack in the chat. Oh my goodness. Can the Steelers hold strong versus the 99 overall quarterback, Matthew Stafford, to win a 7th Lombardi trophy and NFL record?
Yeah, nobody calls timeouts in Sim. It's crazy.
Takes the snap, looking. Stafford throws short. Whittington caught. Timeout again. LA. It'll be 3rd down and 9 coming up. 2 plays away. 2 plays away, ladies and gentlemen, from a magical Madden simulated season.
Oh, you see this new Commanders update?
What's that? Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It's crazy.
Under center, trips right, 3rd down and 9. Looks like man coverage across the board for Pittsburgh. Takes the snap. Stafford looking. Shifting in the pocket. Nothing there. Sacked! Sacked! Alex Highsmith!
Timeout!
Timeout, Rams!
Timeout!
Is anyone going to call timeout? I guess they'll just take the field goal, right?
Yeah, but like Steelers, man.
How are the Steelers not calling a timeout?
There's the timeout for the Rams.
Rams call timeout here, and now it'll be a field goal to send this thing into overtime.
Look, man, I can't control the CPU, man. I know y'all are going to flame me. I can't control it.
F. Ponzi in the chat.
They
for
call
not calling
timeouts. It's they don't decide, or they decide when they call the timeouts.
So this field goal, if they miss it, the Steelers will win
Oh, now we call a timeout.
And now the Steelers call timeout to ice them. And this is the most pressure any kicker's ever had in a Super Bowl. If they make it, it's overtime. If they miss, the Rams lose the Super Bowl, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, hoist a NFL record 7th Lombardi trophy for an NFL franchise.
Type that miss.
Type those misses in the chat. The kick is, it's the terrible angle, but it's up. And it is good. Steelers won't have an opportunity to go down and kick a field goal unless there's some miracle that happens like we've had before. We've had multiple games
that
decided.
was on previous Madden, though.
That was on previous Madden, but we have had multiple games this season decided by defensive pass interference at the end of the game and then a field goal.
Dude.
Kicks away. I would just let it go. Yeah. Knee it. Yes.
Okay, they did.
There we go. Have Rodgers throw up the Hail Mary and see if he can get a penalty. That is the correct strategy at this current point in time.
At this juncture.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy,
Got
guys.
over 300 people watching live to see if the Steelers are crowned Super Bowl champions in our Madden simulated season. Here we go. Shotgun spread 2x2. Just let it rip, Rodgers. Stepping up. Launches down the field. Penalty.
Oh!
Oh, my gosh. It was almost completed.
Michael Pittman.
It falls incomplete. but Michael Pittman Jr. had his hands on it in the end zone. Would have been the craziest finish in the history of any Super Bowl ever. A walk-off Hail Mary Super Bowl to finish the career of Aaron Rodgers would have been the most iconic moment in league history. I don't think that's an overstatement.
ESPN would have been shitting bricks.
That would have been the most incredible finish to a game I've ever seen. By the way, the Rams won the toss and they will get the ball first. Both teams will possess the ball.
And it is playoff overtime. Look, man.
I don't like our chances.
I don't like our chances at all.
I don't like our chances. That was our shot right there. Going up 10-3, getting a stop was our chance there. But kicks away from Boswell will be fielded at the 5. And this Madden simulated season just doesn't want to end. The Rams will take over at the 27-yard line here.
Bonus football, man.
Bonus football on Valentine's Day, by the way, Super Bowl.
Our wives would be furious.
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 Shotgun here, takes the snap. Stafford looking, throwing middle, caught, big gain. Devontae Adams first down all the way down to the 43. Not a great start.
Yeah, this defense is getting tired, man. I'm worried about that, Sperry.
Under center for Stafford, handoff. Cam Heyward bumps into him again, and Keeanu Benton finishes the job. Just a 1-yard gain for Williams. 2nd down and 9 coming up. Come on, baby. Just get a stop here, and Rodgers can take us to the promised land.
Harry Cheeks asks, I might have missed if you already covered this, but did you see ESPN saying that RSJ is going to get cut and they keep Jenkins? What do you think?
I don't agree with that. I think they'll keep both. RSJ is a special teams player, and Jenkins will be the backup safety. So I think both of them make the team. By the way, incomplete pass there on 2nd. 3rd down and 9. Type those threes if you want to have the ball, and all you need is a field goal to win the damn Super Bowl. Let's go. Third down and 9. Chance to get off the field. Rams go out there and trips right. Stafford takes the snap. They send slot corner blitz. Throws. Open receiver caught. First down. Rams to Nakua down to the Steelers 40. Huge play. Steelers did the risky blitz.
Didn't get home.
Didn't get home on time. First down and 10. Shotgun trips left for Stafford now. Now in Steeler territory once again. Throw another backwards lateral. Takes the snap. Looking, stepping up, throws, middle, overthrown, incomplete. Come on, baby. Come on, defense. Pull through. Takes the snap. 5-step drop. Quick throw. Caught by Nakua. And he will pick up 6. 3rd down and 4 coming up. Type those threes. Can you imagine a pick 6? To win the Super Bowl?
Dude, the Hail Mary would have been more iconic, though.
Yeah,
it was in his hands.
And Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary at that, who's like the king of Hail Marys. Shotgun for Stafford. Takes the snap from a 2-by-2 formation. Pressure up the middle. Throws open. Oh, my gosh. Caught. Almost a blitz on 3rd down that would have ended their drive. Instead, they pick up a first down, and they're clearly in field goal range. Big-time clutch play from Matthew Stafford.
The clock does not matter, by the way.
Clock doesn't matter. The game will be played until there's a winner, obviously. No ties in the Super Bowl. Under center for Stafford. 2-by-2, condensed. They'll send their tight end in motion. Takes the snap. Hands it off to Williams, who will get through and picks up a first down to the 16-yard line. New set of downs for the Rams as they enter the red zone. Man, we've been doing this Madden simulated season since how long?
I don't know.
Since right after the draft was over. It's been a long ride, guys, and it comes down to this overtime. Shotgun for Stafford. He'll take the snap. Quick throw to Devontae. It's caught, and he will be tackled immediately after a gain of 6. Gets down to the 9-yard line. Rams are 9 yards away here. Remember, Steelers will have a chance to possess the ball. But if the Rams score a touchdown and the clock runs out on them in overtime, game's over.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Nope. Come on, Sperry, know the rules.
Well, we've never had that scenario before.
We almost did.
Takes the snap, looking. Stafford throws out of bounds, incomplete.
Do you not remember the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl? Where the clock was about to run out, and the announcers were like, Romo was like, remember, the clock doesn't matter here, Jim.
Oh, okay. That's a great Romo impression, by the way. So no matter what, the Steelers will possess the ball no matter what happens on this drive, but 3rd down and 4. Great chance to get a sack and force them to take a field goal.
My worries Madden.
Takes the snap. Stafford looking, throws, and it's going to be somehow caught by Puka freaking Nacua.
Kidding?
What a catch by Nacua. I think that was Joey Porter Jr. draped all over him. Somehow came down with the catch, and now it's 1st down and goal at the 4-yard line.
That's not fun.
Shotgun again for Stafford. Will they run it or will they pass it? Stafford will take the snap. He's looking. They send blitz, and he's going to be sacked by T.J. Watt. Let's go. 2nd down and goal at the 12. Let's get it, baby. T.J. Watt with a huge sack. And now, shotgun trips right for Stafford from the 12. Takes the snap. He will hand it off. No, read option. Now he's running towards the end zone, and he's in. Touchdown, Matthew Stafford. And now the Steelers need to score a touchdown on the next drive, or else they will lose the Super Bowl.
Bro, he had no rushing yards last season. He had negative.
Matthew Stafford had 1 rushing yard last year. The entire season, and he gets 12 there with the season on the line in overtime in the Super Bowl.
I mean, I guess there's time to run read option in the Super Bowl, I guess.
I mean, what a play call.
No one was expecting it.
One of the flag on the play. The Steelers are going to get flagged for roughing the kicker.
I don't know. Do you think about going for 2 just to... Nah.
No,
Because now the Steelers could.
Yeah. Listen, man, if the Steelers go down and score a touchdown, I'm going for 2.
Yeah. Not even thinking about it.
Like, I would say the chances of them winning the Super Bowl, if they get a touchdown here and then they have a 2-point conversion attempt, is probably higher on the 2-point conversion attempt than it would be to not take it. Kicks away. Aaron Rodgers, legacy drive right here. Caden Weegan will run into his lead blocker and get to the 24. But here comes Rodgers. No ifs, ands, or buts here. Has to be a touchdown or the game is over. So obviously 4-down territory for Pittsburgh. But got to put together a drive to tie or win this game.
Love this comment from Man Up. William Howard. William.
Empty formation for Rodgers to start this drive. Takes the snap. Rodgers. Clean pocket. Now steps up, and it's not clean anymore. Kobe Turner, his 3rd sack of the day, and they'll be behind the sticks to start this drive.
Can someone block him, for the love of God? You know, has Myles Garrett had a sack?
No, it's been Kobe Turner. Kobe Turner might have to win MVP of this game.
Yeah.
For 3 sacks?
And
now, maybe
no one's
it's
been
Stafford because he
particularly
ran
good.
it in for the game-winning touchdown. But 2nd down and 19. Got to get a chunk here. Rodgers looking, nothing there. We're scrambling to the right. Trying to go over the middle. Incomplete. You get 2 plays to get 20 yards. Get yourself in 3rd and somewhat manageable here. And somehow, for some reason, they have 2 tight ends out there. Takes the snap, looking. Rodgers stepping up. Pressure, sacked. Timeout, Steelers. Why are we calling timeouts, by the way?
I don't know.
If the clock doesn't matter.
Well, you get 2 timeouts every overtime period.
Yeah,
too.
so why not? So
Guess
4th and 24. This is the season, folks. It's all come down to this. Unfortunately, it's not looking great. But the Steelers' hopes of a 7th Lombardi trophy rests on this play. Rodgers will go in the shotgun, trips right. Takes the snap. Rodgers throwing downfield, and it's caught, and there it goes! Michael Pittman Jr., the 30, the 20, all the way down to the 17-yard line. Rodgers delivers again. No way. Clock is obviously running out on the overtime, but that clock doesn't matter. Empty formation. Rodgers takes the snap, throws middle. DK caught, finds a seam, gets down to the 4. Oh my goodness, the Steelers are driving. They have to score a touchdown here. And then we'll see if the Steelers go for 2 to try and get a record 7th Lombardi trophy over the Rams in their home stadium to send Aaron Rodgers off a champion. First down and goal from the 4. Hey man, we've done one stream on one sim on each of these. It's just a magical run.
It's incredible.
Empty. Rodgers takes the snap, looking, pressure, throws end zone, incomplete. Throws out of the back of the end zone.
They just completed a 4th and 24.
A 4th and 24, like 80-yard completion to Michael Pittman Jr. Insane play. Shotgun for Rodgers. 16 seconds left in the first overtime period. Takes the snap, gets it to Dowdle. Spin move, and he's getting in. What a play by Rico Dowdle. And Rodgers delivers the touchdown. Go 4-2. Go 4-2. Go 4-2. Go 4-2. Come on, man. Go for 2.
We're confident.
4th and 24.
You win or lose
completion.
by this play, man.
Come on, we're going to see if Mike McCarthy's got some nuts on him here. They're going for 2. This is going to decide the Super Bowl. Shotgun Rodgers. This is the play that will define this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFL. He takes the snap. He's going to look middle. Did he get it? I don't know. I don't think he did. He did not. Oh my goodness. They went for 2 and they couldn't get it. The Rams win the Super Bowl. The Steelers were literally inches away from winning it. What a devastating loss to finish our Madden simulated season. The Rams are crowned Super Bowl champions by an inch. Oh my gosh, it was the right call. They had to go for 2 there. That was the right call. And now Rodgers watches the Rams win that Super Bowl that could have been his. Oh my goodness. Well, that's disappointing. But it's been a hell of a ride this Madden simulated season. I hope you guys had as much fun with it as we did. And damn, did we come close. But man, I'll tell you what. I'll take this season for the Steelers. I'll tell you that right now. It would hurt in the moment, but I would take a season where you go to the Super Bowl and you lose to the Rams by 1 point in overtime. I'll take that. $2 from Henry says, even though we lost, I would take a Super Bowl appearance. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all, Henry? Will it happen this year? Probably not. Would it be great if it did? Absolutely. All right, that's going to be it for today's live show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Next time, Ponzi and I will be live. It will be for preseason week 3, Thursday night versus the Buffalo Bills. Of course, we'll get you guys covered with any news on who's starting the game, if it comes out tomorrow, etc. Hopefully it's Drew Aller. But we'll see what ends up happening here over the next few days. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for all of our extensive Steelers coverage all throughout the 2026 season.